Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this what if story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by Hanson the Man on Wattpad. Now let's start. It was a normal day at UA. Class 1A was just relaxing in the dorms, when suddenly, a portal opened up above them and sucked them all in. Izuku's POV, we woke up in a large theater. It looked something like this. We weren't the only ones there though. The teachers, the big three, Eri, Kota, the wild pussycats, Shinso, Hatsum, Class 1B, Kami Utsushimi and Inasa Yurashi from Shiketsu High School, David and Melissa Shield, my mom, Gran Torino. In Dev 6 we weren't the only ones there though. The teachers, the big three, Eri, Kota, the wild pussycats, Shinso, Hatsum, Class 1B, Kami Utsushimi and Inasa Yurashi from Shiketsu High School, David and Melissa Shield. My mom, Gran Torino, Endeavor, Best Jeanist, Ms. Joke, Ihi Lady, Kamui Woods, Gunhead, Gang Orca, and a few other pro heroes, were also there and starting to wake up. 33 No one's POV. Where the F are we? Shouted Bakugo. Calm down young Bakugo, let's try to figure this out calmly, said All Might. Izuku, what's going on? Said Inko as she ran towards her son. I don't know mom, said Izuku. All Might, what the hell is going on? Said Gran Torino. I don't know. I'm just as clueless as you are, said All Might with a look of fear in his eyes upon seeing his old mentor. Toshi, said David. Uncle Might. Deku, said Melissa. 20, good you're awake, now I can explain to you what's going on, said a voice. They quickly got into a fighting stance. Show yourself villain, yelled Endeavor. Oh, I'm not a villain Endeavor, unlike you. But I will come out now, said the voice. Suddenly a young man stepped out of the shadows and onto the stage. He was around the same age as Izuku and the others, maybe a year or two older. He had dirty blonde hair, sunglasses, a brown leather jacket, jeans, sneakers, and a white t-shirt underneath the jacket. It said something on the t-shirt but you couldn't see all of it because the jacket was covering most of it up. 7. Who are you and why are we here? Asked Aizawa. Well, my name is Luke, and I brought you here to show you the wait for it multiverse, shouted Luke. But isn't the multiverse just a theory? Asked Momo. Oh no Momo, it's real, and you're all gonna be watching it. Other people were doing it so I thought I'd do it too, said Luke. 63. Please, this is obviously a trick. Die, shouted Bakugo as he raised his hand to fire an explosion at Luke, only for nothing to happen. What the F, said Bakugo. Bakugo please. There are children here, said Aizawa as he pointed to Eri and Kota. Oh don't worry, I censored it for them, and I temporarily disabled your quirks so you can't attack me, said Luke. Wait, how did you do that? Asked Izuku. Well, you see Izuku, I'm from an alternate universe, which is how you're gonna be seeing different universes, but in my universe, quirks don't exist. In fact, in my universe you're all fictional characters in a manga/anime called My Hero Academia. But I do have a superpower that lets me travel to other universes and create pocket dimensions and stuff. In fact, this whole theater is a pocket dimension I created, and in these pocket dimensions I can do whatever I want, including erase your quirks and censor bad language for children. Also, time and space work very different here, so when you return to your universe only a few seconds will have passed, explained Luke. Can you at least bring Dark Shadow back? Asked Tokoyami. Sure, but he can't attack anyone, said Luke as he snapped his fingers. Suddenly, Dark Shadow appeared out of Tokoyami's back. What did I miss? Asked Dark Shadow. 19. Wait, we're all fictional characters in your universe, asked Ochako. Yeah, My Hero Academia is my favorite show, and one of you is the main character, said Luke. 8. Many people started claiming they would be the main character, until a certain explosion quirk user spoke up. Like hell, any of you dim and extras are the main character. If anyone here is gonna be the main character, it's gonna be me, you losers, shouted Bakugo. 5. If, please, you think you're the main character. If anything, I'd classify you as a villain, Luke said dismissively. What did you say to me, you little dash? But Bakugo was cut off by Luke speaking. Anyways, the main character is Izuku Midoriya, he said. Everyone was shocked by this, and turned their attention towards Izuku, who was red with embarrassment. Why the FIS Deku the main character and not me? Is My Hero Academia a loser show or something? Shouted Bakugo. No, it's a superhero show that focuses on Izuku and his rise to becoming a hero. It's quite popular actually, said Luke. 2. Anyways, yeah, most of the universes you're gonna be seeing focus on Izuku. But anyway, you guys want to see the multiverse or not? Said Luke. Well, hang on now. Why should we agree to this? Asked Nizu. Well, this could be educational for you guys. You could learn things from these universes, said Luke. Alright, I'll allow it, said Nizu. Great, now who's ready to see the multiverse? Said Luke. 8, I am, shouted everyone. Alright then, everyone take your seats and let's get this show started, said Luke, and everyone immediately took their seats. Oh, another thing, not all these universes are gonna be happy, just a heads up, said Luke. Will it be safe for Eri and Koda to watch? Asked Mandalay. For most of them, yes. But for other universes there's a kid's room they can go in. Oh, FYI, there's also bathrooms if anyone needs to use them, he said as he pointed to 3 doors on the other side of the theater, one with a men's room sign on it, another with a women's room sign on it, and a third one with a children's play sign on it. Now without further ado, let's watch some alternate universes, said Luke as the lights dimmed. He pulled a remote out of his jacket pocket and pressed a button on it, and a large holographic screen appeared on the stage and it began to roll the film, or rather, the alternate universe. Alright, first up is this sort of medieval fantasy world with knights and dragons and wizards and stuff, said Luke. Everyone was excited to see this universe. 2, it showed an island and then a forest where we see multiple skeleton warriors being taken down by 2 people. One of them was a young man with green hair and freckles, and the other one was a young woman with short brown hair. Those 2 people were Izuku Midoriya and Ochako Uraraka. Izuku was wearing a green vest, a white button-up shirt underneath, light gray gloves, blue trousers, and his classic red shoes. He also had a sword. Ochako was wearing a velvet witch's hat/hood, a light brown short robe, black leggings, red gloves, and red boots. She also had a wooden staff with a red gem in it. 7, Midoriya, Uraraka, it's you guys, said Mina. Wow, Deku, we look awesome, said Ochako. Why yeah, we sure do, Uraraka, said Izuku as he tried to hide the blush on his face. After they took down the remaining enemies, the 2 sat down for a moment to catch their breath. Lady Uraraka, are you alright? Asked Izuku. Yes, Sir Deku, I'm fine, she said. Lady Uraraka. Sir Deku, said Mina. I guess that's how some people are addressed in this universe, said Toru. We should meet up with Prince Todoroki and the others soon, so we can stage our attack on the League of Villains, said Ochako as she and Izuku got up. Yes, it's time to end Shigaraki's reign of terror once and for all, said Izuku. Prince Todoroki. Oh, looks like you're royalty in this universe, Todoroki, said Mina. I don't really care, said Todoroki. So that means I'm a king. You should be grateful that you're royalty in this universe, boy, said Endeavor. Shut up, old man, Todoroki grumbled. Is anyone concerned about the fact that they're going to fight the League of Villains head-on? Said All Might. 13 times skipped to them meeting with the others. Once they made it to their destination, they were greeted by the rest of this universe's Class 1. Ida was wearing knight's armor, so was Momo, but more revealing, Todoroki was dressed like a prince and had a horse, Tsu was dressed like a barmaid, Bakugo was dressed like a warrior tribal guy, and he had a dragon. I'm not gonna describe the rest of them, just look up what they look like in the show 5. Wow guys, we look awesome, said Kaminari. Yo Baku bro, look. You have a dragon. But where am I? Asked Kirishima. Suddenly the dragon morphed into Kirishima, who was wearing armor and stuff. Look Kirishima, the dragon is you, said Mina. That's so manly bro, said Tetsu. 9. The castle is just up ahead. It's time we launch a full-scale attack, said Todoroki. Agreed, arm yourselves, it's time to take the fight to Shigaraki, said Izuku. I'm kinda nervous, what if we die? Asked Kaminari. Dude, we have Kirishima as a dragon. We'll be fine, said Siro. 14 As they were gearing up for the fight, Ochako put a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Sir Deku, before we go to fight Shigaraki, there's something I need to tell you but she was cut off by Bakugo saying, "Alright idiots, let's get this fight started already, I wanna kick that BS dirty's butt." 2. Diamante Bakugo. Why'd you have to interrupt her? She had something important to say, said Jiro. But what was she gonna say? Asked Momo. Ochako was blushing slightly. She had a pretty good idea of what her alternate self was gonna say. 2. They launched the attack on the castle. It was menacing looking, it was above lava, and it looked like it was mostly made of obsidian. It looked something like this. That castle looks pretty terrifying, said Ciro. We're so screwed, cried Mineta, seeing how menacing the evil castle looked. That castle looks pretty terrifying, said Ciro. We're so screwed, cried Mineta, seeing how menacing the evil castle looked. 19 As soon as they reached the front gates, they were greeted by the League of Villains, save for Shigaraki. Villains? Where is Shigaraki? Shouted Izuku as he pulled out his sword. He's at the top floor waiting for you, but you'll have to get past us first, said Dabi as blue flames emitted from his body. The fight began. Izuku's sword had green lightning emitting from it, just like his quirk as he swung it at his opponents. 2. Wow Deku, that sword seems to be your quirk in this universe, said Ochako. Ochako activated her staff and multiple enemies started floating in the air. And that staff seems to be your quirk, Uraraka, said Izuku. Bakugo rode Kirishima, who was in his dragon form, as Kirishima breathed fire and incinerated multiple enemies. 26 So manly, said Kirishima and Tetsu. 1. Sir Deku, we'll hold them off while you go to face Shigaraki, said Ida. Okay, good luck Sir Ingenium, said Izuku. Be safe Deku, said Ochako. I always am Ochako, said Izuku, who had a brave and tough look on his face, even kinda smug looking. Ochako blushed from seeing this, and from him calling her by her first name. For many of the girls blushed from seeing Midoriya with such a smug look on his face. Ochako was blushing the most. Uraraka, are you okay? Asked Izuku. Yeah, I'm fine, said Ochako. He entered the castle and fought his way to the top floor, where he was greeted by Shigaraki, who was wearing black armor and a menacing cloak, and of course, he was wearing multiple hands all over his body. Ah, Sir Deku, I've been waiting for you, said Shigaraki as he pulled out a sword that looked very similar to Izuku's, but made of a darker metal. Shigaraki's sword looks very similar to that of Midoriya's, but more menacing looking, said Ida. This ends now, Lord Shigaraki. Your evil reign must end, said Izuku as he got in a fighting stance. Oh, but it's only begun. You may have the sword of one for all, but I have the sword of all for one, said Shigaraki as black and red lighting emit from his sword. All for one. Isn't that the name of the villain that All Might fought right before his retirement? Asked Momo. And Midoriya's sword is called the Sword of One for All. What does that mean? Asked Kendo. Well, this is a medieval world, so maybe it has something to do with the saying, all for one and one for all. All Might said quickly. Yeah, that must be it, said Kirishima. 43 They charged at each other, swords clashing together and sparks of energy going everywhere, until Shigaraki had his sword pressed against Izuku's. I see into your mind, Sir Deku. You care about your friends, but they will perish. Sir Ingenium will have his legs butchered off, Prince Todoroki will be sliced in half, that savage Bakugo will be fed to the other dragons, and Lady Uraraka, she will receive the most slow and painful death of them all, said Shigaraki. Hearing Shigaraki say that he was gonna hurt Ochako drove him off the rails. He gritted his teeth in anger and shoved Shigaraki away and clashed his sword at his repeatedly in anger and rage. 4. Wow, when Shigaraki threatened Uraraka, it really seemed to send Midoriya off the edge, said Ojiro. Well, they're best friends, so it would make sense that he would be angry at him threatening her like that, said Ida. Yeah, sure, because they're friends, Luke mumbled. What was that? Asked Ida. Nothing, said Luke. 51 Izuku then screamed, one for all 500%. And a glowing figure shaped like All Might appeared around him. All for 500%. Screamed Shigaraki, and a dark figure shaped like All for One appeared around him. 17, that looks like All Might forming around Midoriya, said Momo, and that looks like that All for One guy forming around Shigaraki, said Sato. I don't get it, all for one. One for all. What does it all mean? It seems more like it has something to do with All Might and that all for one guy, said Ochako. Izuku, All Might, Principal Nizu, Recovery Girl, Gran Torino, and Bakugo, all flinched upon hearing this. What if they found out the truth about One for All? The two clashed together in a bright flash of light. As the two of them fought, the figures shaped like All Might and All for One copied their movements, until eventually Izuku knocked the sword out of Shigaraki's hands, leaving him vulnerable. After that, the two figures shaped like All Might and All for One faded away, leaving only Izuku and Shigaraki. No more violence, Shigaraki, this ends now, said Izuku. You're wrong, Sir Deku, we will meet again, just not today, said Shigaraki as he quickly grabbed his sword. Suddenly a warp gate opened up behind Shigaraki and pulled him in before Izuku could stop him. Izuku cursed himself for not being quicker. He then went back outside to meet up with the others. A lot of members of the League of Villains disappeared into a warp gate. But we defeated the rest of them, said Todoroki. Good to know. Shigaraki got away, but at least we've taken over their castle. This will set them back. So this battle was not all for nothing. We will defeat Shigaraki, just not today. But for now, let's celebrate this victory, said Izuku. Yeah, said everyone, and the screen then went black. Sweet. Now we've got our own castle to chill out in, said Kaminari. A castle surrounded by lava, cried Mineta. Shut up, Mineta. Anyways, that's all for this universe. We'll be seeing a sequel to it later though, said Luke. That was cool, said most of the people. I'm glad you liked it. Now who's ready for the next universe? Asked Luke. I am, said everyone. Now this next universe is in the future where Izuku's a husband and a father, said Luke. Upon hearing this, many of the girls wondered who the mother was, and Izuku was shocked that he was a dad. The scene opens up with the sun rising over Muzutafu City. We cut to an apartment where we hear a baby crying. Suddenly a door opens and out comes a 20-year-old Izuku Midoriya, who had no shirt on, showing his muscles. Wow, Midoriya, you're even more muscular in the future, said Kirishima. Thanks, I guess I work out more, said Izuku. Most of the girls were blushing from seeing Izuku without a shirt on. Ochako even had a nosebleed. Uraraka, are you okay? Your nose is bleeding. Do you need Recovery Girl to take a look at you? Asked Izuku, who was concerned for his crew, friend. I'm fine, Deku, it's nothing really, said Ochako as she wiped the BLD from her nose, and tried to hide her blush from her crew, friend. 69 Izuku walked down the hallway and grabbed a t-shirt from the laundry on his way and put it on. Many of the girls complained at Izuku putting a shirt on. 17 Izuku then entered a baby's room, where he walked over to a crib to see a wailing baby who looked just like him but with brown hair. He picked the baby up. It's okay, Toshi, Daddy's here, said Izuku as he patted the baby's back, calming it down. 9. He named his son after me. Thought All Might. 30. He carried his son into the kitchen where he put him in a high chair. He turned on the stove and was about to make breakfast when he heard footsteps. Morning, Dad, said a 10-year-old Eri who entered the kitchen rubbing her eye. 10, said most of the people. Eri was surprised that her hero was her father in this universe. Hey kiddo, how'd you sleep? Asked Izuku. Good, what's for breakfast? Asked Eri. Bacon and eggs, said Izuku. Eri sat down at the table and ruffled Toshi's curly brown hair and he giggled. Most people cooed at how adorable this scene was. Ah, that is so sweet, said Toru. Eri, you're such a good big sister, said Mina. Eri couldn't help but blush. Oh Eri, could you go wake up your mother? Breakfast is almost ready, said Izuku. No need honey, I'm already up, said a familiar female voice. It showed a certain young woman entering the kitchen, a certain round-faced young woman, with blush marks on her cheeks, brown hair and brown eyes. 9. Uraraka, yelled everyone save for Izuku and Ochako, who were blushing like crazy. I knew you two had a thing for each other. I knew it, said Mina. Midoriya, my boy. You found love. I'm so happy for you, said All Might. Midoriya. Uraraka. My two dearest friends. Oh, how happy I am for you both, said Ida. So that person you were talking to on the phone when you were interning with me was him. I knew it was a boy you were talking to. I'm so happy, said Gunhead. Midoriya UBSTRD. How did you get with one of the hottest chicks in class? Yelled Mineta before getting punched in the face by Momo. 64. Morning Han, said Izuku, as Ochako walked over to him and gave him a kiss on the lips. Izuku and Ochako blushed even more from seeing their alternate selves kiss. When the family sat down to eat breakfast, Izuku, Ochako, and Eri were eating bacon and eggs while Toshi was eating baby food. So what are we doing today? Asked Eri. Well, Toshi has a play date with all his friends today, don't you, Toshi? Ochako cooed as she tickled her son's chin. The brown-haired green-eyed baby giggled in joy. Most people couldn't help but coo again at just how adorable little Toshi was. My grandson is so adorable, said Inko. I'm glad it's our day off. Even as the number one hero, I still get to spend time with my family, said Izuku. What? Said everyone. Midoriya's the number one hero, said Kaminari. Deku UBSTRD. I'm supposed to be the number one hero, not you. How did you cheat? Screamed Bakugo as Aizawa and some of the other students and teachers tried to restrain him. 29. Midoriya, my boy, I knew you could do it, thought All Might, proud of his successor. 6. Fast forward to a few hours later when it's raining outside. They were all dressed. Toshi was wearing a little Deku onesie. Oh, Izuku. It's just like when you used to wear an All Might onesie when you were little, said Inko. Izuku blushed like crazy and tried to hide his face. You used to wear an All Might onesie, said Kaminari, who was on the verge of laughter, much like most of the other students. 25. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. I'll get it, said Ochako. She opened the door to be greeted by two of their old classmates, Todoroki and Momo. Todoroki was carrying a baby boy that looked just like him, but the left side of his hair was black and his left eye was gray, and he had no burn on his face obviously. Momo was carrying a baby girl that looked just like her, but the left side of her hair was red and her left eye was blue. 1. Todoroki and Yaoyorozu, said everyone. 32. Hey guys, said Ochako. They entered the apartment. Sorry we're late, Ochako. Shoto was trying to get the kids ready, said Momo. Wait, Todoroki and Momo are also a thing in this universe, asked Mina. Shoto and Momo were blushing extremely. DMNU, Todoroki. How did you get the hottest girl in all of class? Screeched Mineta. Hey Luke, can I ask you a favor? Said Zero. Sure, said Luke, who was drinking a Coke. Can you give me my quirk back real quick so I can tape up Mineta? He asked. Sure, said Luke as he snapped his fingers. Wait, Wadash, said Mineta, but then Zero taped him up and taped his mouth shut. 16. So those are my grandchildren H. They better have powerful quirks, said Endeavor. Shoto gritted his teeth in anger. 32. Toshi, look who it is. It's Ryo and Rei, said Ochako as Shoto and Momo put them down next to Toshi, who was sitting on the floor. The three babies cooed and giggled upon seeing each other. So cute, was all anyone could think. I name my daughter after Mom, thought Todoroki, who had a smile growing on his face. 16. Suddenly there was another knock on the door. This time they were greeted by Kirishima and Mina, and a baby who looked just like Kirishima, but had pink hair, pink skin, black and yellow eyes, and horns just like Mina. 2. Mina and Kirishima, said everyone save for the two in question, who were blushing. Even Kirishima was blushing, which was unlike him. 8. Sorry we're late, Ochako. We had trouble finding Akio's raincoat, said Mina as they entered the apartment, took off their son's raincoat and placed him next to Toshi, Ryo, and Rei. I guess Akio is their son's name, said Toru, while Mina and Kirishima were still blushing. No wonder they're called Pink IE and Red Riot. 31. Then there was another knock on the door, and this time it was Kaminari, Jiro, and their child who looked just like Jiro, but had blonde hair with a purple lightning bolt running through it. She also had what looked like earphone jacks coming from her ears but had RBB things covering up the ends of them. Hey guys, said Denki. 10. Jiro and Kaminari, said everyone, save for Jiro and Kaminari, who were blushing up a storm, no pun intended. I guess we're together in this universe, Jiro, Kaminari said to Jiro before getting poked in the face with one of her earphone jacks. Shut up, she mumbled. Sorry it took so long for us to get here. We had trouble looking for Kimiko's RBB thingies to cover up her charging cabals, said Jiro, pointing to the RBB things that were covering up the charging cabals on her daughter's ears. 8. She has to have weird RBB thingies covering up her charging cabals? Asked Zero. I seems her quirk is that she have electric cabals coming from her ears, said Izuku. It makes sense that she would have to wear RBB stoppers to cover up her cabals. Some infants who are born with their quirks need to have special equipment on to keep them from harming other people, since they're too young to understand that they can't be doing that, said Nizu. 5. They placed Kimiko down with the other babies, who happily welcomed her into their little circle. Then there was yet another knock on the door. This time it was Toru, Ojiro, and a baby girl, who looked like Ojiro but in female form, and she didn't seem to have a tail, or so they thought. Hey guys, said Toru. 9. Now it's Toru and Ojiro, said Mina. Ojiro and Toru were blushing, although you couldn't see Toru's obviously. Their daughter doesn't seem to have either of their quirks. That's odd, said Izuku. Suddenly something invisible hit Ojiro in the face. Keiko no. Watch the invisible tail, said Toru, taking their daughter out of Ojiro's arms. 2. Oh wait, never mind, said Izuku. Of course their brat has AF invisible tail, said Bakugo. Hey, don't say that about my daughter, said Toru. Shut up, in Vizzy Beach, I say what I want, yelled Bakugo. Bakugo, that's enough. Apologize to her, said Ojiro. Make me monkey boy, said Bakugo. Bakugo, apologize or be expelled, said Aizawa. Fine, I'm sorry, grumbled Bakugo. 24. After Keiko was set down with the other infants, there was once again another knock on the door. This time it was Tsu, Tokoyami, and a baby who looked just like Tsu but with black hair. 16. Next up we've got Tsu and Tokoyami, said Mina. Said Frog Person and Bird Emo were blushing like crazy. You couldn't see Tokoyami's that well because all his feathers were in the way. Ah yeah, Tokoyami. You lucky son of a beach, said Dark Shadow. 28. Sorry it took so long for us to get here, everyone, said Tsu as she placed her daughter next to the other babies. Hey guys, look who it is. It's Tsubame, said Izuku to the other babies, who cooed and giggled seeing their friend. I guess Tsubame's their daughter's name, said Mina. That's every girl in Class 1A's kid. Who else is there? Asked Zero. How come I didn't hook up with any of the chicks in our class? Screamed Mineta, who was finally able to get his mouth free from Zero's tape. Shut up, Mineta, yelled everyone. Once again there was a knock coming from the door. This time it was Ida and Mei, and a baby who looked just like Ida and had tiny engines in his legs, but his eyes looked like cross sights like Mei's. Hello everyone, said Ida. 22. Ida and Hatsum, yelled everybody, save for the class rep and inventor in question. You and the guy with the engines in his legs are a thing in this universe, Hatsum. Well, it would be a nice change of pace, said Powerloader. WI are Hatsum and I together in this universe, said Ida. Well, a lot of people ship you two in my universe because you two fought each other during the sports festival, said Luke. We didn't exactly fight each other. She just restrained me and gave a whole preview of her gadgets for 12 minutes, said Ida. Well, anyways, people ship it, so I thought I'd show it in this universe. Now can we please get back to the show? Thank you, said Luke. 10. They placed the baby down with the others. Here's Tensei everybody, said Mei to the infants sitting on the carpet. 1. I named him after my brother, thought Ida. 5. Then you know the drill. There was another knock on the door. This time it was Shinso and his wife and son. Hey guys, sorry we're late, said Shinso. 9. Now it's Shinso and his wife and son, said Mina. Shinso was surprised he had a family in this universe. Shinso placed his son down with the other kids. Have fun, Shota, he said to his son. 6. I named my son after Aizawa, thought Shinso. Shinso named his son after me, thought Aizawa. Shinso named his son after Aizawa, yelled Class 1A. That is so sweet, said Mina. Oh Shota, that is so adorable, said Miss Joke. I knew you were Aizawa's secret love child. Just like how Midoriya is All Might's secret love child, said Todoroki. I'm not, said Izuku. He's really not, Todoroki, said Luke. And just because I named my kid after Aizawa doesn't mean we're related, all right, said Shinso. After everyone calmed down, they resumed watching the alternate universe. 28 After that the rest of their classmates and their families arrived. Shiro arrived with his wife and his son, Shoji arrived with his wife and his son, Aoyama arrived with his husband and their adopted son, Koda arrived with his wife and daughter, Sato arrived with his wife and son, Mineta arrived with his son and no one else. 20 Where's my wife? Yelled Mineta. She probably left you, said all the girls. Actually his wife died from giving Bardage to their son and Mineta was devastated. Also he's a changed man in this universe. He has respect for women, explained Luke. The girls then felt a bit bad for Mineta, especially since in this universe he's no longer a pervert. Mineta on the other hand was crying tears of BLD knowing that his wife was dead. 31 That was all the kids, except for one. There was a knock on the door. This time Izuku got it and he was greeted by Bakugo, Kami, and a baby girl who looked just like Bakugo, but in female form. 18 Bakugo and Kami, yelled all of Class 1A, save for Bakugo and Yurashi. Look, Bakugo were also a thing in this universe, fam, said Kami. As for Bakugo, he was actually blushing. 8 Hey dude, said Bakugo as he and his wife and daughter entered the apartment. Be nice to the other babies, Katsumi, said Kami as she placed her daughter down with the other infants. Katsumi. Just like Katsuki, said Kirishima. Of course Bakugo would give his daughter a name similar to his own, said Todoroki. What is that supposed to mean half and half, yelled Bakugo. Bakugo, shut up, said Luke. What did you say to me, you little dash, said Bakugo, but he was cut off by Luke. I don't have to give you your quirk back, just remember that, he said, and Bakugo immediately shut up. 2 Katsumi was mean towards most of the other babies, but when she saw Toshi, she giggled and cooed at him, and Toshi did the same. 10 Wow, when Katsumi saw the other baby she was angry, but when she saw Toshi she seemed happy, said Momo. It's so adorable, said Mina and Toru at the same time. Why the FIS my daughter being nice to Deku's brat, screamed Bakugo. Come on Bakugo, she's just a baby, said Kami. For that was all of them. After that all the parents sat down as their kids played with each other. So Kaken, how's hero work going? Asked Izuku. It's alright, but being the number 2 pro hero is still a tough job though. Well, besides from being a father, said Bakugo. 1 Oh, look at that Baku bro. You're the number 2 pro hero, said Kirishima. Shut up shitty hair, I should be number 1, yelled Bakugo. 7 At the end of the day, all their friends left, leaving just Izuku, Ochako, Toshi and Eri. That was fun, wasn't it, Toshi? Said Ochako while tickling her son's freckled cheek with her finger. Then they all got ready for bed. Fast forward to after they all got in their pajamas. Eri had already gone to bed, and Izuku had put Toshi, who was asleep, in his crib. Izuku and Ochako were currently both laying on their bed. Today was nice, said Ochako. It sure was, Ochako. It sure was, said Izuku. He turned the lights off, gave Ochako a kiss on the lips, and the two of them went to sleep. But before Izuku went to sleep, he thought about one more thing. I love my family more than anything else in the world, and would do anything to protect them, even if it means having to give up being a hero, because what's the point of being a hero if I don't have my inspiration for being one, he thought before drifting off to sleep, and then the screen went black. 1 Welp, that's all for this universe. For now, you'll be seeing a sequel to it later that focuses on your kids when they're older. But anyway, what did you guys think? Said Luke. I have a question. Why were me and Deku together in that universe? Asked Ochako. Because you two obviously have a thing for each other, plus a lot of people in my world ship you guys too. They call the ship name Izuoka. But there are other ships in my world, said Luke. What do you mean? Asked Mina. Well, you see, none of you guys have actually gotten together in the show yet, so there are some people who ship Izuku and Ochako with other people, said Luke. Like who? Asked Ida. Well, there are some people who ship Izuku with every single other girl in Class 1A, as well as some of the guys, said Luke. But I'm not gay, said Izuku. I know you're not, but that hasn't stopped people from shipping you with Bakugo. And Todoroki, said Luke. What? Said Todoroki. Why the FDO people ship me with shitty Deku? I hate him more than anyone else in the world, screamed Bakugo. As for Ochako, she's still mostly shipped with Izuku, but there are some people who ship her with other guys and girls. Some idiots even ship her with Bakugo, said Luke. What? Why? Said Ochako. Why the F do people also ship me with round face? Screamed Bakugo. I don't know. Something about when you guys fought each other during the sports festival, the ship name is Kachako, and I hate it more than anything else in the world. Like sometimes when I'm on Pint Rest, usually looking for Izuoka fan art, I come across Kachako fan art instead, and it just makes me wanna F scream. As for girls Ochako is shipped with, some people also ship her with Tsu and Mina, said Luke. Why? They both said, I don't know, but still, people ship Izuku and Ochako with each other the most, including me. Why else do you think I have this shirt on? Said Luke as he unzipped the rest of his jacket to show that the t-shirt he was wearing underneath said, #Izucha forever. This just caused Izuku and Ochako to blush more. But anyways, you guys are giving me a headache. How about we all take a break from the multiverse and have lunch? Said Luke. Yeah, said everyone. Luke snapped his fingers, and suddenly there were 2 double doors in the back of the theater. They opened up the doors and entered the cafeteria. 3. It looks something like this. Wow. This place looks pretty nice. Said Kaminari. Wow. This place looks pretty nice. Said Kaminari. Hey, what's in those windows? Asked Siro as he pointed to some windows on the other side of the room. They walked to look outside, but all they saw was this. What the hell is that? Said Aizawa. That, my friends, is the multiverse. Each of those orbs is an alternate universe, said Luke. Many people gasped and were in complete shock. 1. Anyways, eat up, there's a buffet over there, said Luke as he pointed to a buffet that was on the other side of the cafeteria. They all grabbed trays and got in line. There was tons of different kinds of food there, from American to Japanese, there was all sorts. Once they got their food, they sat at different tables. Class 1A all sat in booths. The Deku squad and Luke sat at one booth, the Baku squad sat at another, and the rest of the students and teachers sat at various booths and tables. 6. Izuku, Ochako, and the others were still processing the information from the last universe, until Bakugo broke the silence and grabbed Luke by the collar. You still never explained why Deku's the #1 hero and not me, yelled Bakugo. Oh yeah, thanks for politely reminding me, Bakugo, said Luke sarcastically. When I said that My Hero Academia is a show that focuses on Izuku's rise to becoming a hero, I meant his rise to becoming the world's greatest hero, said Luke as he broke free from Bakugo's grasp. There was a collective gasp in the room. Now, are there any other question you guys have? Asked Luke. Almost everyone raised their hands. Oh boy, said Luke. 1. I have a question. Why were Deku and Ochako my parents in that last universe we saw? Asked Eri. Well, Eri, in a lot of universes I've seen Izuku and Ochako adopt you. It's not always them who adopts you though. In some universes it's Aizawa, in some universes it's Mirio, but in most universes I've seen it's Izuku and Ochako, said Luke. I have a question. When you said that there were people who ship Midoriya and Uraraka with other people in your universe, does that mean they're with those people in other universes? Asked Mina. Well, of course. I mean, the multiverse has an infinite amount of possibilities. There's a world for every possibility, including ones where Izuku and Ochako hook up with other people, said Luke. We're not going to be seeing those universes, are we? Asked Mina. No, of course not. I'm an Izuoka shipper. All the way, said Luke. I also have a question. When I said that Midoriya's All Might's secret love child, you said he wasn't? How do you know that? Asked Todoroki. Because I know everything. Plus, just because their quirks are similar doesn't mean they're related, alright, said Luke. But you said that the multiverse has an infinite amount of possibilities, right? So there are universes where they are related, said Todoroki. Of course there are, but there are universes where other people are related too. In fact, I'm thinking of having the next universe we see be one where 2 people are related, but I'm not gonna say who, said Luke. 7. I have a question. What was the whole deal with the all for one and one for all thing in that medieval world? It didn't really seem to be about the saying all for one and one for all. It seemed more like it had something to do with All Might and that all for one person, said Momo. I'm not sure if I should tell you guys that, said Luke. Why not? Asked Kaminari. Look, let's just eat right now, okay? The sooner we do, the sooner we can get back to watching the multiverse, said Luke, and everyone went back to their food. Luke walked over to All Might. Can I talk with you, Izuku, Principal Nizu, Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, and Bakugo real quick alone? Asked Luke. Sure, let me just go grab them real quick, said All Might. Luke lead the 6 of them back into the theater. Okay, so I know about one for all, said Luke. How do you know about that? Demanded All Might. Everyone who's seen My Hero Academia knows about One for All. I mean, the show focuses mostly on Izuku's point of view, including when he found out about and got One for All, said Luke. I suppose that makes sense, but why did you want to talk to us about it? Asked All Might. Because I think you should just tell the others about it and get it over with, said Luke. What? Said all 6 of them. Look, in a lot of universes I've seen, the others find out about One for All eventually. Either you tell them or the villains tell them, but either way they found out. It's only a matter of time before your version of them do, so I just thought you guys should get it out of the way. I think they can be trusted, said Luke. He's got a point, All Might. It's only a matter of time before they found out the truth about One for All. We might as well tell them and get it out of the way, said Gran Torino. Fine. Gather everyone into the theater when they're done eating, Luke. Then we'll tell them, said All Might. Said Luke. After everyone was done eating, they went back into the theater, where All Might, Izuku, Bakugo, Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, and Principal Nizu were there waiting for them. Hey guys, what's going on? You look like you have something important to say, said Ochako. Everyone, you might want to sit down for this. There's something we need to tell you, said Nizu. One after that they explained to everyone the full story of One for All and All for One, and how Izuku was quirkless until he met All Might who chose him as his successor. Everyone was in complete shock. Wow, that's a lot to take in, said Kaminari. Toshi, why didn't you tell me, said David. I didn't want to drag you and Melissa into it, said All Might. So, Deku, you were born quirkless, asked Ochako. Yeah, I was, and people bullied me for it. Kaken bullied me the most, said Izuku. Yeah, he even told Izuku to kill himself, said Luke. What? Said everyone save for Izuku and the explosion quirk user in question. There's no way Bakugo actually said that, said Momo. He did, and here's proof, said Luke as he pulled out the remote and pressed a button. The large holographic screen appeared again, this time showing something from there. World 7. It showed a 14-year-old Izuku and Bakugo in middle school, along with 2 other kids. You know, if you really want to be a hero that badly, there actually might be another way. Just pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life. Then take a swan dive off the roof of the building, said Bakugo as he and his friends laughed at Izuku. What the hell, Bakugo? How did someone like you get into you? Yelled Ochako. Bakugo, what in God's name is wrong with you? Yelled Aizawa. Katsuki, how could you say something so horrible to Izuku? Said Inko angrily, furious at what Bakugo said to her son. That wasn't the only horrible thing Bakugo did to Izuku. Check this out, said Luke as he pressed another button on the remote, showing all the other horrible things Bakugo did and said to Izuku over the years. 43. Izuku, why didn't you tell me? Said Inko. I didn't want you to worry, Mom, said Izuku. Bakugo, why? Why would you do so many horrible things to Izuku? I knew you bullied him, but I didn't know you told him to kill himself. Shouted All Might in Bakugo's face. So what? I was trying to teach the little F for his place, said Bakugo. How could you say that, Bakugo? He just wanted to be a hero like you, said Ochako. He can't be a hero without a quirk. No one can, yelled Bakugo. Need I remind you that I was also quirkless, Bakugo, said All Might. Most people gasped. That's right. Everything that happened to young Midoriya happened to me as well. I was bullied by the other kids, and they tried to crush my dreams of being a hero because I was quirkless. The only difference is they didn't tell me to kill myself, said All Might, making Bakugo flinch. 3. Everything was terrible for me until I met Nana Shimura, the 7th wielder of One for All. She made me who I am today, said All Might. Oh yeah, you mentioned her before, All Might, said Izuku. Yes, well, she was killed by All for One. And then I got that injury that destroyed most of my respiratory system and made me, well, said All Might. Small Might, said Luke. What? Said All Might, Small Might. That's what some people on my world call the skinny version of you, said Luke. Okay then, All for One is the reason I'm Small Might, said Small Might he. 1. I'm so sorry, All Might, said Izuku. Thank you, Midoriya. But the other thing is Shigaraki is Nana Shimura's grandson, said All Might. What? Said everyone, save for Gran Torino and Nizu. Yes, All for One told me when I was fighting him right before my retirement, he did it to crush me, he wanted me to hurt my MSDR's last living relative, said All Might. It's not your fault, All Might, you didn't know, said Izuku. Thank you, Izuku, that really means a lot coming from you, said All Might. Are you sure he's not your son, said Todoroki. He's not. Izuku is like a son to All Might, and All Might's like a father figure to Izuku, but they're not related, said Luke. I don't see All Might as a father figure, said Izuku. I don't see Izuku as a son figure. I'm the son, said All Might. You both totally do, said Luke. Anyways, I'm gonna save Shigaraki and turn him back to the light, said All Might. Are you sure he can be turned, All Might? Said Izuku. I know he can. I'll find a way to save him, I owe that much to Nana, said All Might. 1. Anyways, now you know the whole story of One for All. Now can we please go back to watching the multiverse, Luke? Asked All Might. Sure, replied Luke. Bakugo was about to go back to his seat, when he felt Nizu, who was standing on the stage, put his hand, or paw or whatever, on his shoulder. This isn't over, Bakugo. When we get back to our universe, we're having a serious talk with your parents about whether or not it's okay for you to stay at you. Because the things you did to Midoriya, those aren't things a hero would do, they're things a villain would do, said Nizu. Whatever, said Bakugo as he went back to his seat. Plus, maybe you can learn something from this next universe, Bakugo, said Luke. Now remember how I said that in some universes, some people are gonna be related even though they aren't related in yours, said Luke. Yeah, said everyone. Well, that's the case in this universe. In this universe, Izuku and Bakugo are brothers, said Luke. We are, said Izuku and Bakugo. Are their last names Midoriya or Bakugo in this universe? Asked Inko. Neither, their last name is Shimada. Basically, in this universe, quirks don't exist, but there is this sort of superhero-like group called Overwatch, said Luke. Overwatch. That sounds awesome, said Kirishima. Oh, it is, Kirishima, it is. But anyway, basically in this universe, Izuku and Bakugo were a part of the Shimada ninja clan, led by their father Sojiro Shimada, but when he died, the clan elders instructed Bakugo to make Izuku take a more active role in the clan, but Izuku refused. The conflict between the two of them led to a violent fight, resulting in Izuku supposedly dying. Bakugo thought he had killed Izuku and was struck with guilt, which caused him to abandon the clan, marking him as one of their enemies. Now, Bakugo shows up at Shimada Castle every year on the anniversary of his brother's supposed death. But anyways, I don't want to spoil it all for you, you just have to see it for yourself, said Luke. He pressed a button on the remote and the alternate universe began playing. One, it showed a bunch of mountains in the form of ancient Japanese art. My family tells of an ancient legend about two great dragons brothers, the dragon of the north wind and the dragon of the south wind, said a voice as it showed two Japanese dragons. One was green and the other one was blue. Why are those dragons there? Asked Kaminari. I think the two dragons are supposed to represent Midoriya and Bakugo, said Ida. 1. Together, they upheld balance and harmony in the heavens. It then showed a Japanese den and a slightly futuristic city in the background. The camera angle moved down where we see an arcade that said Rikama on it, and a van that was floating off the ground because it had hover things instead of wheels. Is that a flying car? Said Ojiro. Maybe it's some sort of hover car, said Shoji. Hatsum had already started scribbling down blueprints. 5. Suddenly a figure landed outside the building. That figure was none other than an older Katsuki Bakugo, or in this universe, Katsuki Shimada. Wow, Bakugo, look at you. That's one manly tattoo you have on your arm, said Kirishima. He also has a cool bow on his back, said Kaminari. Hatsum had also started scribbling down blueprints for the bow as well. Katsuki then approached the den, when we see a mechanical-looking ninja person standing on one of the buildings watching him. Who is that ninja-looking person? Said Mina. We'll just have to wait and see, said Jiro. 2. Katsuki then climbed over the large gate, which had a symbol of the two dragons on it, which suddenly changed back to the Japanese art style animation. But the two brothers argued over who could better rule their land. Their quarrel turned to rage and their violent struggle darkened the skies, until the dragon of the south wind struck down his brother, who fell to earth, shattering the land, said the voice as it showed the green dragon crashing into a burning building. It then changed back into the normal animation where we see Shimada Castle now guarded by what looked like government agents. One of them was a robot. "One of the guards is a robot," said Kaminari. "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, this universe is in the far future, and robots have equal rights and stuff, and yes, robots can feel emotion, deal with it," said Luke. One of the guards yawned, when suddenly, Katsuki fired an electrical arrow at the robot guard, shutting it down. He then hit a human guard in the face with his bow, then elbowed him in the stomach, then put his bow around him and threw him towards the edge and kicked him off, causing him to land right in front of the guard who was yawning earlier. The guard frantically tried to get his cell phone out of his pocket, but fumbled with it and tried to catch it. "Wow, that guard is really clumsy," said Momo. "You can say that again," said Todoroki. Another guard charged at Katsuki with a katana, but Katsuki grabbed the guard and put him in a headlock position while simultaneously firing an arrow at the guard with his cell phone who was making a run for it. The arrow went right through his phone, destroying it. The guard then ran right into a bell which had the same symbol of the two dragons on it. The guard was knocked out from running into the bell. "Idiot," was all anyone could think. It then cut back to the Japanese animation. The dragon of the south wind had triumphed, but as time passed and he realized his solitude, the sweetness of victory turned to ash, said the voice as it showed the dragon of the south wind with a look of shame on his face, as we see the rest of Japan on fire and a volcano erupting in the background. It then went back to the normal animation, where we see cherry tree petals flowing through the night sky, and the moon, which had strange lights on it. "What's those weird lights on the moon?" asked Kaminari. "Oh, that's some base they have on the moon. This is the future, remember," said Luke. Katsuki then entered the building, and the mysterious ninja climbed up on top of one of the buildings behind him, watching him. Katsuki then approached a damaged katana that was on display, and a banner which had a cut in the corner of it. For years, the bereft dragon's grief threw the world into discord, and he knew only bitterness and sorrow. It cut back to the Japanese animation again. One day, a stranger called up to the dragon and asked, "Oh Dragon Lord, why are you so distraught?" The dragon told him, "Seeking power, I killed my brother, but without him, I am lost." The stranger replied, "You have inflicted wounds upon yourself, but now, you must heal. Walk the earth on 2 feet as I do, find value in humility. Then you will find peace." "You should take the stranger's words into consideration, Bakugo. They might help you learn," said All Might. "I don't need to listen to those words," shouted Bakugo. It then changed back to the normal animation, as it shows Katsuki lighting an incense offering and praying to Izuku. "You are not the first assassin sent to kill me, and you will not be the last," said Katsuki as he put down the offering. Suddenly the assassin hiding in the shadows activated the lights on his suit, revealing Izuku in the form of a robot ninja person. "Who's that supposed to be?" asked Momo. "Keep watching," said Luke. The ninja then jumped onto the ground, making almost no sound. "How the hell did that guy make no sound when he landed on the floor?" said Kaminari. "He's a ninja, ninjas make no sound," said Tokoyami. "You are bold to come to Shimada Castle, the den of you enemies," said the ninja. "This was once my home. Did your masters not tell you who I was?" shouted Bakugo as he grabbed his bow and fired an arrow at the ninja, only for the ninja to dodge it. "I know who you are, Katsuki," said the ninja. Katsuki then fired another arrow at him. This one came from the side, but the ninja still ducked down and dodged it. "I know you come here every year, on the same day," said the ninja as he got back up. Katsuki then fired another arrow at the ninja, but the ninja hid behind a Japanese-style paper light box. I don't know what it's actually called, as multiple arrows came flying through the paper, but Izuku dodged them all. "You risk so much to honor someone you murdered," said the ninja, as 3 high-tech shurikens ejected out of one of his cybernetic hands. Hatsum had already started scribbling down blueprints for the mechanical hands and shurikens. The ninja then threw the shurikens at Katsuki, but Katsuki ducked down and the shurikens went through some of the arrows in his quiver and hit the wall behind him. "You know nothing of what happened," shouted Katsuki as he rolled forward and fired yet another arrow at the ninja. This time the ninja pulled out one of his katanas to block it, but it blasted Izuku through and sent him flying over the railing. The ninja then made a run for it, but Katsuki fired a scatter arrow RIP at him. The scatter arrow split into multiple arrows going all over the place, but the ninja deflected them with his katana. The ninja then backflipped onto the next floor. He then sheathed his katana, and with a flash of green light, ran out onto the balcony faster than Ida could. 7. Holy... That was fast, said Kaminari. Hey Ida, can you run that fast? Said Ojiro. Well, sometimes I mean, said Ida, who was a bit jealous that the ninja could run so fast. One Katsuki then ran after him, but the ninja disappeared, like ninjas do. I know you tell yourself that your brother disobeyed the clan, said the ninja's voice coming from Katsuki's left. Katsuki then fired an arrow in the direction of the ninja's voice, but no one was there, and the arrow hit the wall. And that you have to kill him to maintain order. That, it was your duty, said the ninja who was now standing behind Katsuki. It was my duty and my burden, said Katsuki as he slowly pulled 2 arrows out of his quiver. He turned around and fired 1 arrow at the ninja, but the ninja blocked it with his katana, and the arrow spun around in midair, then hit the ground. That does not mean, I do not honor him, shouted Katsuki as he fired the second arrow at the ninja. This time ninja sliced the arrow in half in slow motion, and both halves hit the wall behind him. Most of the audience were in awe at how badass that scene was. Katsuki, who was now out of arrows, charged at the ninja and swung his bow at him, but the ninja blocked it with his katana. Katsuki swung his bow at him again, but the ninja flipped over him. Once again he swung his bow at the ninja, but then the ninja dodged it. Katsuki swung it again, but the ninja blocked it with his blade, and shoved Katsuki back. The ninja swung his blade at Katsuki, who blocked it with his bow, until the ninja kicked Katsuki into the railing, damaging it. He then leaped into the air, katana pointed directly at Katsuki. No! Shouted Katsuki. He landed on top of Katsuki, but Katsuki blocked the ninja's katana with his bow. The ninja now had Katsuki pinned against the edge, with his katana inches away from his face. You think you honor your brother, Izuku, with incense offerings. Honor resides in one's actions, said the ninja. You dare to lecture me about honor. You are not worthy to say his name, shouted Katsuki as he grabbed the ninja in a headlock and threw him to the side. He ran over and grabbed the arrow that the ninja deflected earlier. Arigo waga teki wo kurao, shouted Katsuki as the tattoo on his arm had a glowing blue dragon forming around it and going into the arrow. When he fired the arrow and 2 blue dragons appeared and flew towards the ninja. Holy SHT Bakugo can summon dragons, said Kaminari. I can summon dragons and the ninja can't, said Bakugo. Too suddenly, the ninja reached for the longer katana he keeps sheathed on his back. Ryujin no ken wo kuri, shouted the ninja as he pulled out his longer katana and a glowing green dragon came out. You were saying Bakugo, said Shiro. Bakugo only grumbled. 2 Katsuki gasped as the ninja swung his katana at the 2 blue dragons. He guided the green dragon as well as the blue dragons, around him and back at Katsuki. The 2 blue dragons flew through Katsuki, who had a mix of anger and shock on his face, as they weakened him. The dragons then disappeared, leaving only the ninja and Katsuki. Katsuki dropped to his knees, as the ninja sheathed his katana and the energy cells in his suit recharged. Only a Shimada can control the dragons. Who are you? Said Katsuki. The ninja said nothing. The energy cells in the ninja's suit recharged and he dashed at Katsuki and put his blade up against his throat. Do it then kill me, said Katsuki. Don't do it, robot ninja dude, shouted Kirishima. Yeah, Bakugo may be in but he doesn't deserve to die, said Kaminari. For there was a moment of complete silence, until the ninja sheathed his katana. No, I will not grant you the death you wish for. You still have a purpose in this life, brother, said the ninja, now revealed to be Izuku. Wait, the ninja is Izuku, said Inko. Izuku's body was found by Overwatch, and they saved him by turning him into a cyborg, said Luke. They turned Deku into a cyborg, asked Ochako. It was the only way to save his life. Anyways, Izuku joined Overwatch and was a part of them for about 4 years, and helped them take down the Shimada clan. Eventually Overwatch broke up, and Izuku traveled the world feeling conflicted with his mechanical body, but eventually he came to terms with it, and found peace, explained Luke. No, said Katsuki as he grabbed his bow and got back up. My brother is dead, said Katsuki. Suddenly, Izuku pressed 2 buttons on the back of his helmet, unlocking his faceplate. He removed the faceplate to show 2 very familiar-looking green eyes. You could mostly only see his eyes. The amount of skin you could see looked damaged. Izuku, said Katsuki. The dragon knelt upon the ground. For the first time he was able to clearly see the world around him, and he became human. The stranger revealed himself as his fallen brother. Reunited, the two set out to rebuild what they had once destroyed. Said the voice as it changed back to the Japanese art style R, and showed the stranger, now revealed to be Izuku and Katsuki, now in human form, standing on top of a mountain watching the sunrise. It then changed back to the normal animation. What have you become? Said Katsuki as Izuku put his faceplate back on. I have accepted what I am, and I have forgiven you. Now you must forgive yourself, said Izuku as he put a hand on Katsuki's shoulder and walked away. The world is changing once again, Katsuki, and it's time to pick a side, said Izuku. He then leaped onto the roof of a nearby building. Katsuki then grabbed the arrow he shot into the wall earlier and aimed it at Izuku. Real life is not like the stories our father told us. You are a fool for believing it so, shouted Katsuki. Perhaps I am a fool to think there is still hope for you, but I do. Think on that, brother, said Izuku as he put a finger to his mouthpiece. Suddenly, a tornado of wind appeared around Izuku and he disappeared, leaving only a feather, flowing in the wind. My alternate self's not lying. I do think there's still hope for you, Kaken, said Izuku, which was a surprise to most of the audience. Shut up, Deku, yelled Bakugo. And now I don't, said Izuku. 12 Katsuki then put the arrow back in his quiver and walked away. It then showed him back to praying in front of the damaged katana. The camera then moved up showing a painting of the 2 dragons, before fading to black. And that's all for this universe. What did you guys think? Said Luke. That was awesome. Said everyone. I know, right? Said Luke. Bakugo, I hope this universe has taught you a lesson. This version of you let his anger get to him, and he nearly killed Izuku, and he was filled with guilt. You must open your eyes and become more human like him, said All Might. Whatever, grumbled Bakugo. All right, now you know how I said not all these universes are gonna be happy, said Luke. Yeah, said everyone else. Well, that's the case here. In this next universe Izuku's a villain, said Luke. What? Shouted everyone else. Yeah, so could someone take Eri and Koda to the kids' room? Said Luke. I got it, said Mandalay as she grabbed Eri and Koda's hands and brought them to the kids' room and then came back. Why is Deku a villain? Asked Ochako. You'll just have to watch it and see for yourself, said Luke. 7. It showed Izuku and All Might when they were standing on top of the building. So in order to answer your question, no, you can't become a hero without a quirk, said All Might. Dear God, not this again, thought All Might, who was filled with guilt remembering when he crushed his successor's hopes and dreams. Wait, so All Might told Deku he couldn't be a hero without a quirk? Asked Ochako. Yeah, said Luke. Izawa glared at All Might. We're having a serious talk about this later, he said, while All Might sweat slightly. 10. I see, sir, said a 14-year-old Izuku. It's not bad to dream, young man. Just make sure dreams are realistic, said All Might as he got up and left. Izuku just stood there, processing the information. I really am nothing, aren't I? Said Izuku to himself. 8. Midoriya, don't think like that, bro, said Kirishima. Deku, don't think that, said He then remembered what Kaken told him earlier that day. You know, if you really want to be a hero that badly, there actually might be another way. Just pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life. Then take a swan dive off the roof of the building. This building does seem tall enough, said Izuku as he looked over the railing. 26. Gikyu/Midoriya/Izuku no. Shouted everyone, save for the cinnamon roll. Demon it Deku. I didn't actually mean for you to do it. Shouted Bakugo. 60. Izuku then climbed over the railing looking down. No one believes in me, not Mom, not the other kids, not Kaken, not even All Might. I have nothing to live for, said Izuku as closed his eyes and moved 1 foot forward. Please don't, Deku, whispered Ochako, who was on the verge of crying as she squeezed her Izuku tightly. 9. And then he fell, and oh, screamed everyone. 1 Izuku closed his eyes tightly, waiting to hit the ground, only for nothing to happen. He opened his eyes to see that he was still in midair upside down, but something was holding him. He turned his head to see a bunch of black and red high-tech looking tentacle thingies holding him. 7 Wait, are those? Said All Might. 4 What are you doing, child? Asked an all-too-familiar voice. It can't be, said All Might. The person revealed himself to be none other than All for One. 5 No way, it's that All for One guy. He was there. Why did he save Midoriya? That's because he was there when I was with Midoriya, said All Might. 3 Who are you? Said Izuku. Where are my manners? Said Afo as he flipped Izuku right side up and brought him back up onto the roof of the building. You can call me All for One, said Afo. Are you a hero? You don't look like one, and I don't have any record of you in my journals, said Izuku. A hero? No, said Afo. Then you're a villain, said Izuku, a look of fear in his eyes. Yes, but I'm a different kind of villain, but you still haven't answered my question. Why were you trying to kill yourself? Said Afo. Everyone always bullied for being quirkless, and when I asked All Might if I could be a hero without a quirk, he said I couldn't. Hearing my hero say I couldn't be a hero crushed me. I had nothing to live for, said Izuku. Midoriya, my boy, I'm so sorry, thought All Might, who was filled with shame. All Might's like all the other heroes, selfish and careless, said Afo. You're right, heroes are all the same, they deserve to die, said Izuku. They do. That's why I want you to join me, Izuku, join the League of Villains, said Afo. And then when the time is right, you can have your revenge on All Might, said Afo. So what do you say? Will you join me? Will you join the League of Villains? Said Afo as he reached his hand out to Izuku. Yes, I will, said Izuku as he took All for One's hand. 17 Oh no, thought everyone. 16 Fast forward to a year and a half later. Izuku's gone through pretty much the exact same amount of training as he did in the normal MHA universe. He was now super buff and muscular. He had already met Shigaraki, and the two of them hate each other. Afo also told Izuku the full story of All for One and One for All, and how All Might was originally born quirkless, just like Izuku, which only made Izuku hate All Might even more, knowing that he himself was quirkless, yet he told Izuku he couldn't be a hero without a quirk. The attack on the USJ happened, but Izuku wasn't there for it because he was busy still training. The attack on the training camp didn't happen because Afo promised Izuku Bakugo's head, and they couldn't attack the camp and kill Bakugo then, because Izuku was still training, so All Might never retired. Then, one day too, alright, listen up Izuku, we're going to be launching an attack on UA soon. That's where All Might and your old friend Bakugo are. You'll finally get to have your revenge on them, said Afo. I can't wait to make them suffer, said Izuku. Yes, but before you do that, you're gonna need a little extra boost. That's why I'm giving you a small portion of my quirk, said Afo. Izuku's eyes widened at this. What? Yelled everyone. I don't understand. All for One's only known Deku for a little over a year. Why would he give him a part of his quirk so soon? Asked Ochako. 13 I don't understand. Why are you giving me a part of your quirk so soon, All for One? Asked Izuku. Because you remind me a lot of my brother, the first wielder of One for All. He was also believed to be quirkless, and he was bullied for it, just like you were. I tried to get him to join me, but he wouldn't. I don't want to make the same mistake with you, Izuku. I want you to be stronger, said All for One, placing a hand on Izuku's shoulder. Okay then, I accept, said Izuku. Good, now hold still. This might hurt a little, said Afo. The screams of Izuku could be heard throughout the building. 17 Over the next few weeks, Afo taught Izuku how to use his quirk. Until one day. Today's the day, Izuku. Today you and Shigaraki will be leading the attack on UA, said Afo. Izuku then went to his room and put his clothes on. He looks like this, except his gloves are covering up all his hands. He's also wearing his red sneakers, but you can't see them in the picture too. He looks like this, except his gloves are covering up all his hands. He's also wearing his red sneakers, but you can't see them in the picture. 7 Jesus Christ, does Midoriya look evil? Said Kaminari. You can say that again, said Jiro. 33 Ochako blushed when she saw evil Deku. 5 Fast forward to UA a few hours later when it's raining outside. We see Class 1A, minus Ochako, sitting in the classroom, waiting for Aizawa. Hey, it's us, said Kirishima. But where am I? Asked Ochako. 18. Man, it sure is great to finally get our provisional licenses, said Kaminari. Yes, we've come a long way since our start at UA. It feels like just yesterday we began our first year at UA, even though it didn't start out so pleasantly for some of us, said Ida. You're talking about that girl you saw get crushed by that giant robot during the entrance exams. The one with the gravity quirk, said Todoroki. Yes, I believe her name was Ochako Uraraka. She was trapped underneath a large amount of rubble when a giant zero-pointer was about to crush us. We all were cowards and didn't do anything to help her, said Ida. 19. Wait, I'm dead, said Ochako. Uraraka knew, cried everyone. It all makes sense. Since Midoriya never went to UA and never got one for all in this universe, he was never there to save Uraraka from that zero-pointer robot that was about to crush her during the entrance exam, said Nizu. Uraraka, I'm so sorry for not being there to save you, said Izuku, who was on the verge of crying. Don't blame yourself, Deku. It's an alternate universe. You didn't know this was gonna happen. And besides, you saved me in our universe. That's all that matters, said Ochako as she held Izuku's hand to comfort him. You really do love him, teased Mina and Toru. Shut up, said Ochako. No one cares about some dead chick losers, yelled Bakugo. 17. Wow, no matter what universe it is, Bakugo's always a disrespectful but, said Mina. What did you call me, raccoon eyes? Yelled Bakugo. Shut up, Bakugo, said Aizawa. 12. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion outside the school which made the building shake. That wasn't me, said Bakugo. Aizawa then burst through the door. Everyone get in your costumes. We're under attack by the League of Villains, shouted Aizawa. Oh boy, thought everyone. They quickly got in their costumes and headed outside to join the teachers, who were fighting the villains. Villains, your time is near, shouted All Might. Remember, in this universe he never fought AFO, so he never lost OFA and retired. You tell him, All Might, shouted Bakugo. Oh, but I think not, now that we have the newest member of our group, said Shigaraki. Suddenly, a blast of energy hit the ground, blasting them all back. Bakugo was the first to get back up. Where the hell did that blast come from? Said Bakugo. Suddenly Izuku appeared on the battlefield. DKU, said Bakugo. Miss me, Kaken, said Izuku. But I thought you were dead, said Bakugo. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Said Izuku as black and red lightning emitted from his body. Not so fast, evildoer, shouted All Might as he landed between Izuku and Bakugo. Yeah, kick his butt, All Might, yelled Bakugo. Do you remember me, All Might? Asked Izu. Am I supposed to? Asked All Might, confused. How could I ever forget you, my boy? Thought All Might. 11. I'm the one whose dreams you crushed, said Izuku. Oh no, whispered All Might, realizing who he was. After you destroyed me, I did what Kaken here told me to do and jumped off that building we were on, said Izuku with a psychotic smile on his face. Everyone immediately turned their attention to Bakugo, who was pale as a ghost. Bakugo, what is he talking about? Said Aizawa. But Izuku then charged at All Might and used AFO to punch him into a wall. He then grabbed All Might by the collar and threw him all the way into the building. 14. Holy, said Kaminari. All Might, shouted Bakugo as he, Aizawa, and the rest of Class 1A went after them. I don't understand, I thought you didn't have a quirk, said All Might. I didn't, until All for One chose me as his successor, said Izuku. WB, said All Might as Izuku continued beating the CRP out of him. 5. Jesus, was all anyone could think. For die, shouted Bakugo as he fired an explosion at Izuku, but Izuku created an energy shield around him. What the F? Shouted Bakugo. Like my new quirk, Kaken. I've got plenty of others, said Izuku. Suddenly All Might was running out of energy and struggling to keep up with his form. Don't even bother trying to hide your true form from them, All Might. It's pointless, said Izuku. Suddenly, All Might gave up and changed into his skinny form. What the? Said everyone. Look at him. All Might isn't so powerful after all. He's just a weakling like you, said Izuku. The students then lunged at Izuku, about to attack him, when suddenly it paused. Now before we go any further, I just want you to know that Izuku kills most of you in this next part. So do you guys want me to skip it? asked Luke. Yeah, said Aizawa in Class 1A. Okay, said Luke. 3 Fast forward to after everyone, save for Bakugo, was dead. Their corpses were scattered all over the place. Todoroki was ripped in 2 halves, his left half and his right half. Mina had her own horns jabbed in her eyes. Ida's legs were broken and his neck was snapped. Kirishima's body was crushed. Sue had her own tongue ripped out and was strangled to death with it. Momo was impaled with her own staff. Ojiro's tail was ripped off. Jiro had her earphone jacks ripped off. Shoji was exploded into 1,000,000 pieces. Tokoyami's beak was crushed as well as most of his head. Toru was, well, you couldn't really tell because she was invisible, but you could see multiple stab wounds floating above ground. Koda's mountain-shaped head was smashed in. Sato was beaten to death. Kaminari's body was completely fried and smoking. Aoyama's naval laser had exploded and killed him. Shiro was strangled to death with his own tape. Minetta's tiny body was impaled on a pike. And Aizawa's eyes were sliced out, and he was hung to death with his own scarf. 88 OSHT sorry. I forgot to skip that part too. Here are buckets if any of you need them, said Luke as he snapped his fingers. Suddenly everyone in the audience had a bucket. Most people threw up in them, while others who had a stronger stomach didn't. After that, Luke teleported all the buckets away, along with all the vomit in them, and they continued watching the alternate universe. Bakugo stood there in shock, as he just watched his classmates and teacher be murdered right in front of him. You killed them, said Bakugo. Yeah, I did. What are you gonna do about it, Kaken? Asked Izuku. I'll kill you, screamed Bakugo as he charged at Izuku. Izuku either dodged or blocked all of his attacks. Why the F are you doing this? Said Bakugo. Because of you, yelled Izuku as he slammed Bakugo into the ground, punching him repeatedly. All I wanted was to be a hero like All Might. And you hated me for it, yelled Izuku. You hurt me. You attacked me. You told me to kill myself, which I tried doing, yelled Izuku. 5 Most people in the audience gave Bakugo a death glare. He then got back up. To think they'd let an abusive piece of SHT like you into UA. They really have no standards, said Izuku. 10 Kid, we're so sorry, said Aizawa. It's fine, said Izuku. 17 You think that you're a hero. You're no better than me, said Izuku. Bakugo then got back up. Deku, I am sorry, said Bakugo. No, you're not, said Izuku. So what are you gonna do? Kill me, said Bakugo. Oh, I'm not gonna kill you. After all, we were friends, said Izuku. For many people sighed in relief. Bakugo was surprised that Izuku was letting him live. But I can't let you get in my way either, said Izuku. He then took off his glove and put his hand on Bakugo's face. There were flashes of black and red lightning as Bakugo screamed in pain. What's he doing to him? Asked Ochako. I think I know what he's doing, said Ragdoll. When it was over, Bakugo didn't feel any different. Was that supposed to hurt me? It didn't last long. Die, yelled Bakugo as he raised his hand to fire an explosion in Izuku's face, only for nothing to happen. He raised his hand again, nothing happened. He raised his other hand, still, nothing happened. Bakugo started to panic. What did you do? What did you do? Screamed Bakugo. I took away your quirk. You don't deserve it, said Izuku. What? Shouted Bakugo. That's right, your quirk is now mine, said Izuku as he created an explosion out of his hand. 7 That's my quirk, yelled Bakugo. 16 You BC, give it back, screamed Bakugo as he lunged at Izuku, but Izuku just punched him in the face. It's like you always said, Kaken, you can't be a hero without a quirk, said Izuku. He then wrapped Bakugo up in those red and black high-tech tentacle thingies. I don't remember what they're called. 20 What the F, said Bakugo. Just to keep you in place for a second, said Izuku as he walked over to All Might, who was too weak to do anything. Why aren't you smiling, All Might? Said Izuku. I can fix that, he said as he pulled out a knife and carved a smile into All Might's face. 53 Holy, said Shiro. He's insane, said Momo. Midoriya, I'm sorry, you can be a hero, said All Might weakly. It's too late for that, said Izuku as he pressed his hand against All Might's chest. 1 Deku, please don't, whispered Ochako. Midoriya, my boy, I'm sorry, whispered All Might. Izuku then fired an explosion through All Might's chest. 20 and all, screamed everyone. 1, all might, screamed Bakugo as he just watched his hero be killed with his quirk. You killed him, said Bakugo, with your quirk Kaken, said Izuku as he freed Bakugo from the high-tech tentacle thingies. As soon as he was free, he lunged at Izuku, only for Izuku to grab him by the collar and slam him into a wall. I want you to listen to me very closely. The only reason I'm letting you live isn't just because we used to be friends, but because I want you to know something. That this, all of this, said Izuku as he showed Bakugo all the rubble and destruction, is your fault. You made me this way, you and All Might. You made me into the monster I am now, said Izuku. 12, in a way we did, said All Might. 3, suddenly, the villains started attacking the city. And All Might's death is your fault. Not just because I killed him with your quirk, but because you made me into the person that killed him. You're the person responsible for All Might's death. His BLD is on your hands. All Might, said Izuku, as Bakugo had a look of fear in his eyes, the same look of fear Izuku had in his whenever Bakugo bullied him when they were kids. 10, he's crazy, said Tokoimi. 13, I want you to say it, I want you to say that it's your fault, said Izuku. Yo, Bakugo said weakly. Say it, yelled Izuku. It's my fault, he murmured. What was that? I didn't quite catch that, said Izuku. It's my fault, he murmured again. Still can't hear you, said Izuku. It's my fault, yelled Bakugo. There we go, that wasn't so hard now, was it? Said Izuku as he dropped Bakugo to the ground and walked away. Oh, one more thing. If you ever get in my way again, I will kill you, said Izuku. But besides that, go and live whatever meaningless life you can like the worthless piece of filth that you are, said Izuku. But what am I supposed to do? I don't have a quirk anymore, said Bakugo. Well, why don't you just pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life? Then take a swan dive off the roof of the building, said Izuku as he walked away. Bakugo nearly choked hearing his own words be used against him. 40 The Bakugo watching also nearly choked hearing his own words be used against him. Karma, muttered Kaminari. 26 Bakugo then stepped outside, to see the city now in ruins. He collapsed to his knees, knowing that he created the monster responsible for all of this. It was his fault. The screen then went to black, and that's all for this universe. What did you guys think? Asked Luke. Holy SHT, that was dark, said Kirishima. Yeah, I know. Sorry if you guys didn't like it. I just thought it'd be interesting, said Luke. 3. Guys, I'm sorry for what I did in that universe. I was a monster, said Izuku, who had his head down in shame and was about to cry, until he felt a soft, warm, familiar hand on his. He looked up to see Ochako. That wasn't you, Deku, that was a different version of you. Don't blame yourself, said Ochako, who had a warm smile on her face, the same smile that made Izuku fall in love with her in the first place, or at least her smile was one of the things that made him fall in love with her. 1. You two are so cute, teased Mina. Shut up, yelled Ochako. All right, you can bring Eri and Koda back in now, said Luke. Mandalay went and got them. What did we miss? Asked Koda. You don't want to know, said Pixie Bob. 1. Alright, now this next universe is also one where quirks don't exist, but there are superpowers. Basically in this world, Izuku's a hero in New York called Spider-Man, said Luke. PFF, Spider-Man. What kind of name is that? Asked Bakugo, who was not impressed. The name of one of the most iconic superheroes in my world, said Luke. But wait, I thought you said quirks don't exist in your world, but there's still Spider-Man. Asked Ochako. No, Spider-Man's a fictional character in my world, just like you guys, but he's one of the most popular superheroes out there, said Luke. Oh, okay, said Ochako. So I take it I don't have one for all, said Izuku. No, but you do have spider powers. As to how you got them, you'll just have to watch to find out, said Luke as he pressed a button on the remote and it began playing the alternate universe. 2. It showed New York City, when suddenly it shows multiple masked gunmen robbing a convenience store. 7. A convenience store robbery, said Ida. Who's gonna stop them? Said Zero. 1. The masked robbers stepped outside. The cops are on their way, let's go, said one of the robbers, until suddenly a web got him and pulled him up. Then a man in a red and blue costume landed in front of the other robbers. Hey guys, said Spider-Man, so that's Midoriya as Spider-Man, asked Jiro. I guess so, said Momo. SHT. It's the spider, said another robber. They fired their guns at him, but Spider-Man just dodged them all. 2. Holy CRP. Midoriya is super acrobatic, said Ojiro. 1. He pulled the robbers' guns away with webs and then webbed them all up. Suddenly the cops arrived and pointed their guns at Izuku. Freeze. Put your hands in the air, Spider-Man, yelled one of the cops. Why are the cops pointing their guns at Midoriya? He just stopped that robbery, said Kaminari. Izuku's a vigilante in this universe. There aren't any quirks, so there are less heroes, which means laws are different and stuff, said Luke. Okay, fine, I'll put my hands up, said Izuku, but as soon as he did he fired 2 webs and escaped. After that Izuku web swung across New York City. He can swing with his webs. Just like how I can swing with my tape, asked Zero. Yeah, basically. He shoots them out of these web shooters he made, but the rest of his powers are all natural, said Luke. 6. He swung by a jumbotron that had a news report on it. The news station was called the Daily Bugle. It then showed an older Monoma with a mustache. 23. Monoma, said Class 1B, save for Monoma, who was beaming with pride. Finally some screen time, said Monoma. You mean on the jumbotron, or the holographic screen we're watching this on? Asked Kendo. Both, said Monoma. 1. This just in, Spider-Man just stopped a convenience store from being robbed, but he was probably helping those robbers because Spider-Man is a menace, yelled Monoma into the camera. 10. What the hell, Monoma? Why are you always in but even in an alternate universe? Said Kendo. Well, who knows? Maybe Midoriya was helping those guys, said Monoma. No, he wasn't, and the reason you're in this is because there's a character in my universe who harasses Spider-Man on a daily basis, just because he's a vigilante and wears a mask, and since you harass Class 1A on a daily basis, you fit the role perfectly, said Luke. Monoma grumbled. 2. Same old Monoma, said Izuku as he then wall crawled up the Empire State Building until he reached the top. 2. He can crawl up walls like me, asked Sue. Yeah, he can, said Luke. So basically Midoriya's Tsu and Zero combined, said Kirishima. Yeah, pretty much, said Luke. 5. Once he reached the top he pulled his mask off real quick to catch his breath. Just another day for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, I guess, said Izuku. So this is normal for Midoriya? Asked Jiro. Yeah, pretty much, said Luke. Suddenly, the police scanner he kept on his costume went off. All units, Dr. Octopus has escaped from Rikers Island and is currently attacking Times Square. We are requesting additional backup, said the cop on the police scanner. 1. Dr. Octopus. Is that some sort of knockoff of me? Asked Shoji. Not exactly, said Luke. 1. Not again, said Izuku as he put his mask back on. Play this song with the story. He then dived off the skyscraper. Holy! That's a big leap Midoriya just took, exclaimed Zero. You can say that again, said Toru. He then fired a web at a nearby building and swung across New York, until eventually he reached Times Square, to be greeted by a surprisingly human-looking Shoji. He had no tentacles or anything, but he did have 4 mechanical arms coming out of his back. Shoji slash me, yelled everyone. Why am I a villain? Asked Shoji. Well, your quirk is similar to that of an octopus. That's why you're Doc Ock in this universe, explained Luke. What are those things coming out of his back? Asked Kaminari. They look like robot arms or tentacles, said Jiro. No wonder he's called Dr. Octopus, said Mina. May had already begun scribbling down designs for the mechanical arms. 8. Spider-Man. You're just in time to witness the end of New York, said Shoji as he swung one of his robot arms at Izuku, but Izuku jumped over it. I beg to differ, Ock. But hey, can we make this quick? I've got a tight schedule today, said Izuku. Is he seriously making jokes? Asked Ida. Yeah, Spider-Man does that a lot, said Luke. 5. Suddenly Izuku jumped on top of a nearby building, and Shoji climbed up after him. No more playing around, Spider. It's time New York bows before the might of Dr. Octopus, yelled Shoji, raising his fists up into the air. He seems pretty full of himself, said Mina. I'm right here, you know, said Shoji. They fought their way up to the tallest building in Times Square, when suddenly, Shoji pulled out a bomb and activated the timer. No! Yelled Izuku as he lunged at Shoji, only for Shoji to claw Izuku with his metal arms. That hurts, said Izuku. I improved my arms, made them stronger, deadlier, said Shoji. You don't say, said Izuku weakly. He was losing a lot of BLD, he had to finish this up, quick. Shoji then grabbed Izuku by the leg with one of his metal arms, and held Izuku in front of him upside down. So long, Spider-Man, said Shoji. He then threw Izuku off the building. Deku, yelled Ochako. Izuku no, yelled Inko. Midoriya, yelled everyone else. Suddenly, time slowed down as it began a flashback. 5 years earlier we see some sort of laboratory, and a group of high schoolers on a field trip there. 3 of them were Izuku, Ochako, and Bakugo. Izuku was wearing glasses. 3, Deku, Bakugo it's us, said Ochako. You look even more like F-nerd Deku, Bakugo scoffed. Alright students, next up we have the radioactive spider project, said the tour guide as he showed them a glass box with a dozen red and blue spiders in them. Here at Baku Corp we've revolutionized spider genetics in hopes of one day creating a new type of super soldier, explained the tour guide. 5, Baku Corp. What's that? It sounds like a company owned by Bakugo, said Kirishima. That's exactly what it is. You see, in my universe Spider-Man had a rich best friend, one whose father runs a multi-million-dollar company known as Oscorp, but is also a supervillain. In this universe Bakugo plays the role of Spider-Man's friend, and his dad runs Baku Corp, but is also a supervillain, said Luke. Like how that weak old man would be a millionaire. Even less so a villain. Yelled Bakugo. He is, but we'll get to that later, said Luke. 4, we've combined the DNA of 3 different kinds of spiders to create these 12 spiders, as you can see here, said the tour guide. There are only 11 spiders, said Ochako counting them all. Huh, I guess the researchers are working on that one, said the tour guide. We see the 12th spider climbing up a web on the ceiling. 1, oh, I think I know what's gonna happen, said Kendo. Gee, think, said Monoma before getting hit on the head by her. 3, suddenly, the red and blue spider crawled down a web line, before landing on Izuku's hand. Izuku was currently taking pictures and didn't notice the spider on his hand until it bit him. Yelled Izuku as he hit the spider, knocking it off his hand, killing it. He then felt a bit different. You okay, Izuku? Asked Bakugo. Can I go to the bathroom real quick? I think I'm gonna be sick, said Izuku raising his hand. Sure, said the tour guide. Izuku then rushed down the hall to the men's room and threw up. Must have been something I ate, said Izuku as he flushed the toilet. Fast forward to the next day, Izuku woke when he noticed he didn't need his glasses anymore. What the? Said Izuku confused. He then looked in the mirror and noticed he had a huge six-pack. And cue the nosebleeds from most of the girls. 13 I'm not gonna show every single part of Spider-Man's origin story, I'm just gonna show the big parts. Fast forward to later that day. He discovered his spider sense when a jock tried to throw a paper airplane at him in class. He discovered his super strength when he completely crushed a soda can during lunch, while barely even touching it. He discovered his agile skills when fighting a bully in the hallways. He discovered his ability to climb walls after school when he climbed up the side of a building in an alleyway. And he discovered the rest of his abilities one by one. 1. When that spider bit me yesterday, it must have given me superpowers, thought Izuku. He then saw an ad in the papers for a wrestling fight. Last 3 minutes in the ring and win $3,000. 2. Wait, he's just gonna use his powers for fame and fortune. That's disgraceful, said Ida, doing his normal hand gestures. Don't worry. He's gonna use his powers for good soon. But first, a heads up, in this flashback Izuku's dad's still alive. For now, said Luke. You mean All Might? Asked Todoroki. He's not his dad. We already specified why they have the same quirk. And that Izuku sees All Might as a father figure. But besides that, they're not related, said Luke. I'm just messing with you, said Todoroki. His father's name was Hisashi Midoriya. He could breath fire. He worked overseas in America, but he died shortly after Izuku was diagnosed quirkless, said Inko. 14 It then showed Izuku sitting in the car with his dad. Here we are, said Hisashi. Huh. said Izuku, who was preoccupied thinking. The library, you said you needed to study, said his dad. Oh right, said Izuku, who was about to get out of the car. Hey listen, I heard you got in a fight the other day, said Hisashi. He started it. What was I supposed to just walk away when I can easily win? Said Izuku. Look, this bully, he probably deserved what he got, but just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility, said his dad. Whatever, Dad, said Izuku as he got out of the car. I'll pick you up at 7, said Hisashi. One fast forward to the wrestling match. Izuku was wearing what looked like a makeshift version of his Spider-Man costume. It was still red and blue, but it consisted of a red sweater, blue sweatpants, black and red sneakers, and a blue and red mask. It basically looks like this, but without the spider symbol and web shooters. It basically looks like this, but without the spider symbol and web shooters. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the amazing Spider-Man, shouted the referee. Fast forward to after Izuku won the fight. He got the money and was currently heading down the hallway to the elevator, when suddenly he heard a voice call out from behind him. Stop that guy, yelled a security guard who was chasing after a thug who stole a lot of money. The thug was coming Izuku's way and Izuku could have easily stopped him, but he didn't. He just stood there and let the thug reach the elevator and escape. What the hell, kid? You could have stopped that guy, said the guard. That's your problem, not mine, said Izuku. Midoriya, why would you say that? Do other people's problems mean nothing to you? Said Ida. Other me. Besides, we all know I change into a better person soon, said Izuku defensively. One fast forward to Izuku back in his normal clothes, waiting on the sidewalk for his dad to come pick him up, but his dad was late. Where the hell is Dad? Thought Izuku, when suddenly he noticed a larger group of people across the street surrounding something. He walked over to see what was going on. And then he saw they were all huddled around his father's dead body. Oh my God, said Ochako. Hisashi, whispered Inko. Dad, whispered Izuku, who was on the verge of tears. Uncle Hisashi, no, whispered Bakugo. 22, Dad, yelled Izuku as he crouched down next to his father's dead body. Who did this to him? He asked a police officer. Some scumbag shot him and stole his car, but we've got him surrounded in a warehouse across town, said the cop. Izuku then changed back into his wrestler costume and leapt from rooftop to rooftop until he reached the warehouse. There were police cars surrounding it. We know you're in there. Come out with your hands up, said one of the cops through the speaker in his police car. Izuku leapt onto the roof without the cops noticing him. He climbed through a window and entered the dark warehouse. Suddenly, 5 rounds were shot at him, but Izuku dodged them all with his powers. Who the hell is there? Shouted the murderer. Izuku then kicked the killer into the window, smashing it. He then saw a clear view of the killer's face. It was the man Izuku let get away earlier. No way, it's the guy Midoriya let get away earlier. I'm responsible for my dad's death, said Izuku, who was about to cry even more. Don't blame yourself, Izuku, you didn't know, and besides, it's an alternate version of you, said his mom. What do you want from me? Said the criminal. Izuku then knocked him out and left him outside for the cops to arrest. After that he sat on top of the Chrysler building, crying. It's all my fault. If I had just stopped that guy, then Dad would still be alive. But I can't give up. This city needs me, thought Izuku as he overlooked New York at night. Fast forward to when he makes his official costume, and to when he designs his web shooters. It then showed all the people Izuku saved over the years. It showed him saving 2 kids from a burning building, him stopping a mugging, him stopping a runaway train, him stopping supervillains, him kissing Ochako upside down. With great power, 21 flashback to the current time where we see Izuku still falling. He then opened his eyes. Comes great responsibility, thought Izuku as he then fired a web and pulled himself back onto the building and kicked Shoji away. He then grabbed the bomb with a web and threw it into the air where it exploded. "Nuu!" shouted Shoji. "Sorry, Ok, it's over," said Izuku as he fired multiple webs, webbing Shoji up. He then left Shoji for the cops and swung away. He also webbed up his wounds. He then reached his apartment. Upon entering, he took off his mask and entered the kitchen. "Hey Tiger," said Ochako, who was making dinner and wearing a white t-shirt that had Spider-Man's face shaped like a heart on it. Tiger. That's my name, said Tiger. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. In my universe, Spider-Man has a girlfriend who calls him Tiger as a nickname, so the same thing applies with Ochako in this universe. She calls him Tiger, said Luke. Oh, okay, said Tiger. 1. Hey Oka, said Izuku as he walked over and gave her a kiss on the cheek. The two of them sat down at the kitchen table to eat dinner. How was crime fighting today? Asked Ochako as she ate her food. You know, the usual. I stopped a convenience store robbery, stopped a person from getting run over by a car, and beat up some thugs trying to rob a person. Oh, and I also saved the city from Doc Ock, said Izuku. Wow, you've come a long way from being the shy bookish nerd in high school, haven't you? Said Ochako. Oh, also I'm kinda bleeding, said Izuku, as the webs he used to patch his wounds had failed. Oh, SHT sorry. I'll get the med kit, said Ochako. After Izuku was patched up, the two of them sat outside watching the sunset. One, it looks like this, but it's Izuku and Ochako. I hope I'm making you proud, Dad, thought Izuku as the screen then went to black. Plus, I hope I'm making you proud, Dad, thought Izuku as the screen then went to black. Alright, now this universe is gonna be pretty sad, just a heads up. It's near the end of your 3rd year, but something bad happens, said Luke. Oh no, thought everyone else. 7. We see Class 3A in the classroom one morning waiting for Aizawa. Izuku was the only person who wasn't there. So that's what we'd look like in 2 years, said Kaminari. Where am I? Asked Izuku. Ochako was sitting in her desk when she noticed something. Izuku was nowhere to be found. He's probably just running late. He was out late last night on patrol, she thought to herself. Wow, Midoriya, you've been getting a lot of action, huh? Said Kirishima. I guess so, said Izuku. For pretty soon they would be graduating, and Ochako would finally be able to tell Izuku how she feels. But then Aizawa entered the classroom, with a grave look on his face. Can I have everyone's attention please, said Aizawa, and everyone immediately shut their mouths. Something's happened, said Aizawa. 1. What could have happened, said All Might. Beats me, I'm just as clueless as you guys are, said Aizawa. 3. Midoriya is dead, Aizawa said grimly. For the audience was in complete silence. Deku, whispered Ochako, who was about to cry, as she clutched her Izuku tightly. Midoriya, my boy, no, whispered All Might. Izuku, whispered Inko. Papa's dead, said Eri. Nobody even bothered to realize she just called Izuku Papa. They were too busy crying. 24. The classroom was silent for a few seconds, still processing the information. Last night he was out on patrol, when a villain robbed a convenience store. Midoriya was the only hero in the area. It should have been easy, but the villain had some sort of strength quirk, very similar to Muscular's. Midoriya put up a good fight, but in the end the villain just Aizawa stopped for a second. You could see a few tears coming from his eyes. Beat him to death, he said. 3. What sick BSRD would beat a kid to death? Who did it? We'll take him down, said Empty Lady. 16. The horrified looks the classmates had were beyond describing. Ochako was the most horrified. School is cancelled today and tomorrow, because that's when the funeral is. You're all invited to it. Class dismissed, said Aizawa, who then left the room. The class remained in their seats, still in shock. Many started to cry, even Bakugo had a few tears running down his cheeks. Ochako was still processing the information. Deku is dead, she thought, tears running down her face. When they got back to the dorms, the class still didn't say anything. They just sat there in the common room too shocked to say anything, until Kaminari finally broke the silence. Midoriya's dead, he said. We know that, idiot, said Jiro as she was wiping away some tears from her face. I can't believe one of my closest friends is gone, said Ida. God damn it. Why did that idiot have to go do that? Why couldn't he just for the pros to arrive? I never actually wanted him to die, said Bakugo, tears running down his face. How's Ochako taking it? Asked Momo. I don't know. Where is she? Asked Toru. They all looked around the room. Ochako was nowhere to be found. She said she was going up to her room, said Mina. Let's leave her alone, guys. She must be taking this the hardest right now. Ribbit, said Sue. Ochako had gone up to her room, and as soon as she locked the door, she fell onto her bed crying. Suddenly her phone started ringing. She checked to see who it was. It was her parents. They must have heard what happened to Deku. That's why they're calling to check up on me, she thought, but instead of answering it, she hung up. I never hang up a call from my parents, said Ochako. Well, you just lost the love of your life, so you probably don't want to talk to anyone right now, said Mina. 2. She didn't get much sleep that night. The next day was the funeral. It was raining outside. They were at the cemetery, about to lower Izuku's coffin into the ground. They couldn't even have an open casket funeral for him because of how badly the villain had crushed his body. The whole class was there, as well as all the teachers and Izuku's mom. All Might was crying more than the rest of the teachers were. Izuku's gravestone said, "Here lies Izuku Midoriya, born July 15, 2158, died February 12, 2176, rest in peace." Would anyone like to say a few words? Asked the pastor. Ida went first. Izuku was one of the closest friends I've ever had. He inspired me to be stronger and to never give up. Then Todoroki spoke. Midoriya helped me face my inner demons. He was one of the only friends I've ever had. He didn't deserve to die. Then a few other people went until it was Bakugo's turn. Izuku was my best friend since BR, but I was a selfish piece of SHT who bullied him for over a decade. Just because he also wanted to be a hero, I should be the one dead. Not him, said Bakugo, more tears running down his face than ever. Bakugo, you do care, said Mina. Shut up. My oldest friend died, so of course I'd be upset, yelled Bakugo. 11. Finally it was Ochako's turn. I never got to tell Deku how I truly felt about him. Because I was too focused on becoming a hero. I thought I could tell him after we graduated. But now he's dead and I'll never be able to tell him, she said, collapsing onto the ground crying. This is so sad, said Toru. 14. The screen then went to black. Many people were still crying. Yeah, sorry about that, guys, said Luke. This is why you and Midoriya should hook up soon, Uraraka, because what if he does die? You'll never get to be with him then, said Mina. Ochako didn't know what to say. All right, now in this next universe Izuku never got one for all and remained quirkless, but he still became a hero, explained Luke. What? There's no way you can be a hero without a quirk, screamed Bakugo. That's enough, Bakugo, said All Might. 11. It started with Izuku walking home after he was told by All Might he couldn't be a hero without a quirk. Suddenly, a man appeared out of nowhere. Where did you come from? Said Izuku. Sorry about that, my name is Stopwatch. My quirk allows me to freeze time, said Stopwatch. 4. I've never heard of that hero before, said Izuku. That's surprising since you have 1,000,000 heroes in your journals, said Ochako. Really? Does that mean you could dash? Then Izuku went on another one of his mumbling charades. Whoa, calm down, kid. Anyways, you looked upset, so I wanted to see if you were okay, said Stopwatch. Well, you see, I'm quirkless, and I just met All Might and he told me I can't be a hero without a quirk, said Izuku, who had his head down. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. If you really want to be a hero that badly, there might still be another way, said Stopwatch. I'm not gonna jump off a building, said Izuku. Where'd you get that from? Said Stopwatch. Sorry, someone said it to me earlier, said Izuku. Bakugo felt multiple eyes on him. 22. Well, anyways, if you want to be a hero I could train you, said Stopwatch. What? But I'm quirkless, said Izuku. I know, but I could train you to be the first quirkless hero, said Stopwatch. How? Said Izuku. By teaching you hand-to-hand combat, acrobatics, and other things. That's how I was trained. I can't always rely on my quirk, can I? Said Stopwatch. But that kind of training would take months, years even, said Izuku. Maybe so. But remember, I can freeze time, and I can freeze it for you as well, and you won't age or anything when I do, said Stopwatch. Really? You do that for me? Said Izuku. Sure, I believe that a person can be a hero without a quirk, and that's gonna be you, kid, said Stopwatch. I don't know what to say, said Izuku. Say yes. By the way, what's your name, kid? Asked Stopwatch. Izuku Midoriya, said Izuku. Well, Izuku, your training begins tomorrow. Meet me at Dagoba Beach and we'll begin your training, said Stopwatch. Okay, said Izuku, raising a fist in the air. 14. You can do it, Deku, shouted Ochako, raising her fist in the air as well. So cute. Izuku said in his head. 10 The next day Izuku met Stopwatch at Dagoba Beach. Okay Stopwatch, so what are we doing first? Asked Izuku. Well first you're gonna clean up all this trash on the beach. Don't worry I'll freeze time and everything, said Stopwatch. Suddenly Stopwatch clenched his fists, and there was a bright flash of green light as time froze around them. Alright let's get to work kid, said Stopwatch. 3Q training montage with the song, Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragons. 16 After Izuku cleaned up the beach, he was taught hand-to-hand combat, then he was taught acrobatics, then he was taught parkour, until eventually he was ready. Alright Izuku, today's the day. The entrance exams, do your best kid, said Stopwatch. I will, said a buff and muscular Izuku. 3 Fast forward to the entrance exams. Izuku meets Ochako and the others all the same. He wasn't able to destroy any robots. Until suddenly, it's that nice girl I met earlier, she's in trouble. Thought Izuku as he saw Ochako trapped underneath all that rubble. There's no way he's gonna be able to save Roundface without a quirk, said Bakugo. Izuku then ran over to her and lifted the debris and pulled Ochako out right before it could step on them. 5 You were saying Bakugo, said Jiro. Bakugo only growled. 3 Fast forward to when Izuku got home and got the letter saying he got into UA. Ochako asked the teachers to give Izuku some of her points, but the teachers said there was no need since he already had rescue points. Bakugo tried to get Izuku to drop out of UA, but Izuku refused. Izuku got his hero costume. Instead of his costume being based off All Might's, it's based off Stopwatch's. Ochako quickly fell in love with Izuku, just like in the anime. 1 Izuku beat both Bakugo and Todoroki in the sports festival and came in first place. 47 Man Midoriya's good, said Kirishima. Fast forward to after they got their provisional licenses. Izuku was on his way back to the dorms when suddenly All Might approached him. Midoriya, can I talk to you for a second? He said. Sure, said Izuku. All Might then explained to Izuku the full story of OFA. While that's a lot to take in, but All Might, why are you telling me this? Asked Izuku. Because I want you to have one for all Midoriya, said All Might. Huh, so I guess this Midoriya does get a quirk after all, said Kaminari. 1 No thanks, I'm good, said Izuku. Never mind, said Kaminari. 3 WB, said All Might. Said I'm good, I appreciate the offer, but I don't need a quirk to be a hero. I don't care what you said Izuku. You'd rather remain quirkless than be one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful person in your class, said All Might. Yeah, I made a promise to my mentor Stopwatch that I would be the first quirkless hero, and I intend to keep it, said Izuku. That's bullshit. Who would be stupid enough to turn down such a powerful quirk? Said Bakugo. 3 After that Izuku left and headed back to his dorm. He was currently sitting in his dorm room. He doesn't have any All Might stuff in there because All Might crushed his hopes and dreams. He heard a knock on the door. He opened it to be greeted by Ochako. Oh hey Uraraka. What brings you here? Asked Izuku. Deku, can we talk? Asked Ochako. Sure, said Izuku. She walked in and Izuku closed the door behind them. So what did you want to dash? But suddenly Ochako pressed her lips against his. 10 Me, said Mina. 40 I love you, she said. I love you too, said Izuku. 1 And the screen went to black. And that's all for this universe, said Luke. Alright, now in this universe you know what. I'm just gonna have it be a surprise, but you might want to bring Eri and Koda in the kids' room again, said Luke as Mandalay brought Eri and Koda to the kids' room and came back. It showed a 20-year-old Izuku walking down the hallway of the Tartarus prison. What place is Midoriya in? Asked Kaminari. He's in the Tartarus prison facility. It's where villains like All for One and the hero killer Stain are kept, said All Might. Izuku then entered a room with a chair in front of a window. He sat down in the chair. You have 10 minutes with the prisoner, said a guard. 10 minutes is all I need, said Izuku. I wonder who the prisoner is, said Momo. Probably some no-good scumbag who deserved to be sent there, said Bakugo. 40 All right, bring in the inmate, said another guard. Suddenly, on the other side of the window, a chair was pushed forward to reveal none other than Katuki Bakugo. He had longer hair and was wearing an eye patch. There was a moment of complete silence. Well, you're not wrong, Bakugo, said Kaminari before getting punched in the face by Bakugo. 15. Deku, growled Bakugo. Why the F am I in jail? I had to have been framed or something. Yelled Bakugo, and why does he have an eye patch? I mean it looks manly but why does he have it? Asked Kirishima. 2. So was it worth it Kaken? Asked Izuku. What do you mean? Asked Bakugo. Don't be coy. When you became a villain, when you destroyed half the city, when you put Ochako in the hospital, said Izuku. Bakugo's a villain, said Kirishima. He destroyed half the city, said All Might. He put me in the hospital, said Ochako. Ochako, get away from him, said Momo as she and the other girls, as well as Izuku, moved Ochako away from Bakugo, who was sitting just a few seats down from her. It's another version of me, dipshits, yelled Bakugo. Fine, but we've got our eye on you, said Toru, as Ochako moved back to her seat. Huh, that's another student of Class 1A turned villain. Pathetic, said Monoma before getting hit on the head by Kendo. Sorry about that everyone, she said. 4. Well, is she okay? Asked Bakugo. She's fine, we're getting married actually, said Izuku. Izuoka for the win, shouted Mina. 10. Congratulations, said Bakugo. There was a moment of complete silence. How did it even come to this Kaken? How did you go from being the Kaken I grew up knowing to the Kaken who kills people? Asked Izuku. Well, I guess we'd have to go back a bit, said Bakugo. 5 years earlier, Izuku went outside one day to meet up with Kaken, who had asked him to meet him on one of the training grounds. Okay Kaken, I'm here. Now what did you want to talk about? Asked Izuku. I want to have another fight, no holding back, said Bakugo. Damn it Bakugo, you're not supposed to be picking fights, said Aizawa. Kaken, we're not allowed to fight without asking permission first, said Izuku. I don't care, it's time I finally prove I'm better than you, said Bakugo. Kaken, no. I'm heading back to the dorms, said Izuku as he turned to walk away, only for Bakugo to jump in the way. Oh, we're having this fight, now get ready for a serious beating, said Bakugo. Kaken, I said no. Said Izuku. Too bad. Yelled Bakugo as he lunged at Izuku, explosions coming from his hands. 1. Why can't you just leave Deku alone, Bakugo? Yelled Ochako. 3. Izuku quickly dodged his attack. I don't want to fight you Kaken, said Izuku. I wouldn't want to fight me neither, shouted the explosion quirk user as he continued to attack Izuku, with Izuku dodging all of his attacks. 11. Midoriya technically isn't doing anything wrong, he's just dodging all of Bakugo's attacks because he doesn't want to fight him, said Aizawa. Fight me ya DMN nerd, yelled Bakugo. No, yelled Izuku. God damn it. Why won't you do what I say? Yelled Bakugo. Because you're not the boss of me, yelled Izuku. Know your F place Deku. You should have done what I said and killed yourself, yelled Bakugo. Bakugo then blasted Izuku through a building with an explosion. He walked over to the weakened cinnamon roll, who was lying on his back. I'm always gonna be better than you Deku. I'm gonna be better than everyone. I'm gonna be the #1 hero and you'll be forgotten about, yelled Bakugo with an evil smile on his face as he was about to blast another explosion at Izuku. 1. Bakugo you FBSTD. How the hell have you not been expelled yet? I can't believe people actually ship me with a scumbag like you, screamed Ochako. Everyone gasped from her swearing. 59. Suddenly the explosion stopped. What the hell? Said Bakugo. Suddenly he realized what had happened. He turned to see Aizawa and All Might standing there, with furious looks on their faces. Bakugo, what the hell is wrong with you? Get away from Midoriya, yelled Aizawa. All Might helped Izuku. Midoriya, did he hurt you? Asked All Might, concerned for his successor. I'm fine, just a few bruises that's all, said Izuku. Midoriya, some of your bones are broken. He could have killed you, said All Might. Bakugo, you're in big trouble, said Aizawa sternly. What about Deku? He also fought me, said Bakugo. No he didn't, we were watching the whole thing from a security bot. He wasn't fighting you, you were fighting him. He was just trying to dodge your attacks, said Aizawa. 5. That's right, none of you would get in trouble if you were simply dodging the attacks because you didn't want to fight Bakugo, said Nizu. 6. Also, what did you mean when you said that you told Midoriya to kill himself? Asked Aizawa. It was nothing, said Bakugo. Nothing. You told me to jump off a building and hope for a quirk in my next life, said Izuku. What? Said Aizawa and All Might. So what? It was back when he was quirkless anyways, said Bakugo, acting like it wasn't such a big deal. Bakugo. Principal's office. Said Aizawa. 2 after that, Izuku was sent to Recovery Girl's office, and Bakugo was sent to the principal's office. He also revealed all the other horrible things he did and said to Izuku over the years. The teachers were enraged. This has gone on far enough, Bakugo. No more second, third, or fourth chances you're expelled from UA, said Nizu. 7, WITT, screamed Bakugo. 11, WITTT, screamed Bakugo. That's right. You're out of control, you nearly killed Midoriya. You're a danger to him and the other students, said Nizu, and don't bother trying to enroll in some other school with a hero course. Your license and costume are being taken away from you. You can forget about ever becoming a hero now, said Aizawa. Like hell I'm gonna let you expel me. Screamed Bakugo as he was about to fire an explosion at Nizu, but Aizawa erased his quirk. 1, you little you were gonna kill me, yelled Nizu. 44, All Might help me out here. Tell them I don't deserve to be expelled. Yelled Bakugo. You completely deserve to be expelled, Bakugo. I used to think there was hope for you, but I was wrong, said All Might. But said Bakugo. We've called your parents and they're on their way to pick you up. And your dorm room's already been cleared out, said Nizu. You son of a bitch, you think you can do this to me? I'm supposed to be the world's greatest hero. Hell, better than great. I'm supposed to surpass you, All Might. I'm supposed to be the best there ever was. Screamed Bakugo. Too suddenly, All Might raised his hand, about to smack him in the face. Bakugo shielded himself with his arms, bracing himself for the blow. He looked up to see that All Might stopped himself at the last second. You're not gonna surpass me, Bakugo. Midoriya will, said All Might. No, he won't. He was a quirkless loser. Yelled Bakugo. Need I remind you that I was also quirkless, Bakugo, said All Might. Bakugo just had his head down. Hand me your provisional license, Bakugo, said All Might sternly. Why? Asked Bakugo. Just give it to me, said All Might. Bakugo did as he was told and handed All Might his license, only for All Might to tear it in half right in front of his very eyes. I'll admit that may have been a little too harsh of me, said All Might. 8, now get the hell out of my school, said Nizu. 8, Bakugo had to be dragged out of the school by Aizawa. Izuku and the others watched Bakugo leave from the school windows. Most of them were glad Bakugo was leaving, since Nizu and the others told them all the other horrible things Bakugo did to Izuku over the years. They also already know about OFA by now. The only people who seemed to care were Izuku and Kirishima. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna miss him kind of, said Kirishima. Eiji no. He was a monster. He deserves to be expelled, said Mina. Kaken's hero career is ruined and it's all my fault, said Izuku. It's not you fault, Deku. It's his, said Ochako, hugging Izuku from behind. Thanks, babe. That really means a lot coming from you, said Izuku. 2, looks like you guys are already a thing in this flashback, said Mina with a sly smile on her face, causing the 2 in question to blush. 3, you beasters, you'll pay for this. I'll burn this whole school to the ground and kill you and everyone you love. Then I'll rule this world with an iron fist. Screamed Bakugo as he was dragged away. 3 after that, Bakugo returned to normal high school, where he was greeted by all the kids he went to middle school with. While Bakugo, we thought Midoriya would be the one to come back, but instead it was you. Who's gonna be the #1 hero now? Teased one of his old friends. After that, Bakugo was the one all the kids bullied and picked on, just like how they used to bully and pick on Izuku. It then showed Bakugo walking through an alleyway one night in the pouring rain. He sat down leaning against the side of a building when suddenly he heard footsteps. He turned his head to see none other than Tamura Shigaraki. Shigaraki, said everyone. You! Yelled Bakugo as he quickly got up and raised his hand to fire an explosion at Shigaraki. Wait. Before you kill me, I just want to talk, said Shigaraki. About what? You're a villain, said Bakugo. And you're a former UA student, said Shigaraki. Bakugo then clenched his fists. I was supposed to be the #1 hero, but All Might and Deku ruined that, said Bakugo. No, they didn't. You did, said Ochako angrily. For, you know the offer still stands, said Shigaraki. What offer? Asked Bakugo. The offer to join us, to become a villain, said Shigaraki. Why would I join you BSS, said Bakugo. Because then you can have your revenge on All Might and those UA brats, said Shigaraki. I do really want to kill them all, said Bakugo. Then join us, and when the time's right you can, said Shigaraki. Okay, I'm in, said Bakugo. Oh God, said everyone. 5 years later, it had been 2 years since Izuku and Ochako and the others graduated. The two young lovers had moved into an apartment together immediately after graduating. It's the same apartment from the family chapter. They also adopted Eri, and Izuku has recently become the #1 hero. Midoriya's already the #1 hero, said Ojiro. Who cares about that? They're already living in their apartment together like a married couple, said Toru excitedly. Meanwhile, in an unknown location, and in other news, Japan celebrates its new symbol of peace, Izuku Midoriya, also known as Deku, said the news reporter on the TV. Suddenly the TV was blown up by none other than Bakugo, who was now a villain. So Deku's the #1 hero, huh? Well, we'll see about that, said Bakugo. Soon Bakugo, soon, said Shigaraki. We see Izuku and Ochako out on patrol one day, when suddenly there was an explosion nearby. That doesn't sound good, come on let's go, said Izuku. The two rushed to the scene to see the entire block ruins. What could have caused this? Said Ochako. I've only seen destruction like this once before, said Izuku. Suddenly the smoke cleared and it showed Bakugo standing there in his villain costume. It was basically his hero costume but black and red. 5, Kaken, said Izuku. Bakugo, said Ochako. Hey Deku, round face, did you miss me, said Bakugo. He then fired multiple explosions at them, but Izuku grabbed Ochako and moved them out of the way using full cowl. Such a protective boyfriend, said Mina. 15, what's happened to you Kaken, said Izuku. I became a villain. That's what? Yelled Bakugo. You were already a villain, yelled Ochako. Oh now you've done it beach, yelled Bakugo. Kaken don't you dare call her that, yelled Izuku. How many times do I have to tell you F-airs it's another version of me? Yelled Bakugo. 22 He was about to fire an explosion at Ochako, but Izuku punched him in the face. My jaw, yelled Bakugo. He then lunged at Izuku only for Izuku to punch him in the stomach and slam into the ground. I got better since we last saw each other Kaken, said Izuku as he pinned his former friend to the ground. You BSD I was supposed to be the #1 hero not you, screamed Bakugo as he blasted Izuku away. He got back up and was about to fire another explosion at him when suddenly a blast of ice froze his leg to ground. What the F? Oh wait dim it half and half, grumbled Bakugo as he saw Todoroki and the rest of their old classmates, as well as some other pros, standing there ready for action. I called for backup. I knew Bakugo was too much to handle on our own, said Ochako. We came as soon as we got your call Ochako, said Momo. You losers think you can take me on. I'm the most powerful out of all of you, said Bakugo. DMN right I am, shouted Bakugo. Bakugo shut up, said All Might. They charged at their former classmate, who charged right back at them. I'm not gonna describe the entire fight because I'm lazy, just picture it being super awesome and action-packed. 9 During the fight, Bakugo destroyed many buildings, taking many innocent lives. Oh my god, said Momo putting her hands over her mouth. All the destruction, said Mina. And I thought villain Midoriya was bad, said Kaminari. Many pros had their eyes on Bakugo, in case he turned hostile. 19 It's time I end you Deku. This is what you get for stealing the rank of #1 hero from me, said Bakugo. Look around you Kaken, I didn't steal it from you, you lost the right to have it. The second you chose to become a villain, said Izuku. I'll kill you, yelled Bakugo as he lunged at Izuku, but Izuku continued to stop all his attacks, until eventually he had Bakugo weakened. It's over Kaken, surrender and I promise terms will go easy on you, said Izuku. You think you can tell me what to do, said Bakugo. He then clenched his fists as they started to glow orange. What are you doing Kaken? asked Izuku, unleashing an atomic blast. You're not the only one who's been practicing on their quirk, said Bakugo. Kaken no. A blast that big will destroy the city, said Izuku. Screw you Deku. If I can't be the number one hero, no one can. Screamed Bakugo as he was about to unleash the blast, but then Ochako kicked him in the back of the head and punched him in the face. Yeah. Get him, Uraraka! Yelled Izuku, causing Ochako to blush. You beach die! Yelled Bakugo as he unleashed a huge blast, knocking her away. Ochako! Screamed Izuku as he ran over to her to see if she was okay. Please don't go, I love you, whispered Izuku, who had tears running down his cheeks. Uraraka no, said Jiro. Well, Midoriya said that she ended up in the hospital, so that she means she's okay, said Kaminari. Yes, but I don't think Midoriya knows that yet. It looks like he thinks she's dead, said Ida. She always was a weakling, said Bakugo. She was everything to me, said Izuku as he got back up. I loved her more than anything else in the world and you took her from me. Screamed Izuku. 7. He really does love you, Ochako, said Tsu, making Ochako and Izuku blush once again. 13. Izuku then lunged at Bakugo, punching him in the face repeatedly, not giving him a chance to hit back. He then slammed Bakugo into a wall multiple times, making the BSTRD bleed a lot. 2. Bakugo went pale seeing Izuku beat the CRP out of him like that. No. Stop. Please. Begged Bakugo as Izuku kept pummeling him. Bakugo then grabbed Izuku and put him in a headlock, gaining the upper hand. I'm better than Yudi. I'm better than everyone. Screamed Bakugo, but then Izuku shoved his thumb into Bakugo's eye, destroying it. Bakugo screamed in pain. 18. I guess that's how he got that eye patch, said Sato. 1. He let Izuku go, which was a huge mistake as Izuku grabbed him by the throat and picked him up. He raised his arm. Deku, no please, said Bakugo weakly. I'm gonna kill you, said Izuku. Midoriya, don't do it, said Ida. Is he actually gonna kill him, said Momo. Well, he thinks Bakugo murdered the love of his life, so of course he'd want to kill him, said Mina. She's not dead, shouted Momo. Said Izuku. Ochako. She's not dead, she's just unconscious, she said, who was kneeling next to Ochako's unconscious body. See? She's okay, said Kaminari. Oh, thank God, said Izuku as he dropped Bakugo, who then passed out from his injuries. The others walked over to Izuku. I was gonna do it, I was actually gonna kill my oldest friend, said Izuku. 1. Deku was actually gonna murder me, thought Bakugo, who was now a bit afraid of Izuku. 15. After that, Bakugo was taken to prison and Ochako was taken to the hospital. Izuku rode in the ambulance with her. A few hours later, Ochako slowly started to wake up in the hospital bed. She looked over to see Izuku asleep by her side. Deku, she said. Izuku started to wake up. You're awake, said Izuku. Deku, did you beat him? Asked Ochako. Yeah, Ochako, I did. I thought he killed you, so I may have gone a bit too far. Now he only has 1 A, he said. Jesus, said Ochako. I was actually gonna kill him, but then the others told me you were still alive, so I stopped myself, said Izuku. There was a moment of silence. I almost lost you, Ochako. I don't want that to happen again, said Izuku, as he pulled out a small box and opened it, revealing a ring. So, Ochako Uraraka, will you marry me? Asked Izuku. Oh, Deku, yes, I will, said Ochako. A lot of people cheered while Izuku and Ochako blushed madly. Back to the present plus. So that's how we got here, said Bakugo. Time's up, said the guard. Goodbye, Kakin, said Izuku as he got up and left. 5. The screen then went to black.